I'm in a bit of a hurry. I need to go to the suspicions. Excuse me. Meaning, okay, sir. By entering Constantinople, Muhammad al-Fatih in the first. What does he do? He holds Safir, who is a church that was converted into a mosque. These churches were, for this era, they are symbols of the old order. It is called the Imperial Church. He left them many churches. Muhammad al-Fatih killed his infant brother. Honestly, when I read the phrase at that time, I was surprised. Is it true that Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror legalized killing brothers? This is a widespread misconception, and one of the most important misconceptions in the history of the Ottoman Empire. Why is it only half a text? Killing, whether obligatory or avoidable. Why, my brother? Prison, my brother. When the murder happened, we went to prison. I am in a hurry. My problem is, you want to go into suspicion. Did the achievements of the conqueror, Professor Muhammad, stop at? The conquest of Constantinople was not his only major achievement. All this military achievement is matched by another achievement. Civilized. We're going to Constantinople, you know. That's bullying. Countries are always either rising or falling. It means these people went to sleep and woke up to find the ships in Golden Horn. It means imagining that you will pull the ships that the cannons protect you so you can move them on land, and it talks about 70 ships, but I want to say the city. It only opened to a torrent of blood. Peace be upon you, my brothers, wherever you are. Welcome to a new episode of the series 100 Questions in History. This is the series that we always answer questions through it. The crisis that our Islamic history is subjected to. In this episode specifically, we have a few questions. Salt is one of the things being discussed on social media here, and there is a discussion about the history of the Ottoman Empire, in her journey and her path. Yes, we have reached the 8th axis, Ottoman Empire. This is episode 4 from this series, but if you ask me which one, we have reached question number 74. The circle never straightens out, and it never gets better without welcoming Professor Mohammed Al-Harmi. Guest, welcome to this series, Professor. Welcome, Abu Al-Harith. Yes, today we have reached a very major turning point, a task. It is the conquest of Constantinople, hence question 74. Ready for question 74, Professor Muhammad. We have been favored by God, and I have prepared 3 doubts for you along with this question. This is something that is being discussed on social media. By the way, suspicions about the Ottoman state. If we were to divide it, there are 2 types. One type is where diffusion means a type that is related on social media, and that's what it means. It's spread by flies. Electronic, if we assume good faith, means yes, correct, okay, yes, and there is a very specialized type, correct? This is also possible, meaning if we go into it we won't know. Let's focus on what's being discussed. Okay, since we are talking about the conquest of Constantinople, it means Professor Muhammad. This means that we have reached the name. Great is Muhammad al-Fatih, this great leader. What really caught his attention was this group of. The episode is divided into 2 parts. One part discusses the doubts regarding the conquest itself, the conquest of Constantinople. It must be. I'll pause here for a moment because he'll obviously tell us. Dear viewers of this program, it is, how can you talk about the history of the state, the Ottomans, and you jumped around like that about the conquest, Constantinople? No, we won't jump ahead, we'll talk about it, but Muhammad al-Fatih noticed a few related things with the opening, and it is, or meaning, how can a great leader be like that when you claim to be fair? And you claim that you do not force anyone to enter Islam, and you, meaning, O people, you, meaning, historians and others, say that the Prophet instructed you not to. You cut down a tree, you don't destroy a temple, you don't kill an elder, don't harm a child, etc. By the grace of Muhammad al-Fatih, he went to Constantinople, and the first thing he did was grab, yes, Hagia Sophia, which is a church, is being converted into a mosque. 1, 2, isn't this an excuse, meaning for any? Mosques are also being converted into churches. Okay, so you're upset that we're transferring money to you. They converted mosques into churches, and you're not upset that you turned Hagia Sophia into a church. Fine, never mind. He tells you that when Muhammad al-Fatih passed by, this was the similarity. The second one, that is, to Constantinople he conquered it. 3 days. Look, he or Professor Muhammad means. Yeah, I mean suspicions. I don't want to go on with it, but there are laughter other suspicions. They're nice enough. Enough medicine, okay, enough. Even if it's just for the episode time, I mean laughs. Okay, that's enough about that question. That's better, teacher. Mohammed, I'm sitting here listening. You won't hear my voice. From here until the end of the episode, may God help you. It's better this way. Sir, I need you in this particular episode. I hear your voice a lot because you're the one who put me in. See, and what do you need to define me for? And if you continue, please bring me back. Okay, in the name of God. Praise be to God, and peace and blessings be upon the messenger of God, and upon his family, his companions, and those who follow him. O Allah, send blessings upon our master Muhammad, the teacher Muhammad Bass. We're going to talk about the achievements of Muhammad al-Fatih, right? That means, as we will talk about the suspicions. Okay, does that mean he conquered Constantinople and then just sat there? He has no other achievements. Oh, this is very important. Also, please, sir, so, what do you think about us starting with the opening? And with achievements. You'll remember me, by way of suspicion, one by one. Okay, let's begin. Okay, so we've reached Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih. Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror. Firstly, he assumed power at the age of 21. He was 19. The year Constantinople was conquered was 21 years old. Yeah, to rule, that means he died at the age of 49, though some say 51. Okay, great. So we're talking about a young man. He is 19 or 21 years old. Of his age, Muhammad al-Fatih, by unanimous agreement of the Rakwer, was one of the great figures in history, a scholar, a poet who composed poetry, knew 3 languages. Some people have reached 7 languages, but he is proficient in more than 1 language. An interested and knowledgeable person. It means someone who loves mathematics, geometry, and astronomy. For you, the dates were such that he neither got up nor slept except when he hears the dates and the chronicles are told to him. Historical, he was particularly gifted and passionate about drawing maps. Wow, and for naval fortifications, it means a man as if he were created. Sultan. It was as if he were born a military leader. His personal talents, his strong personality, his leadership, the general public. And you should know that Muhammad al-Fatih died on his horse. It means he ruled for 30 years. Those 30 years were jihad. He didn't sit down. 30 years of struggle, oh God, and honor. It means maybe he wants it, maybe, but 30 years of struggle. Therefore, the truth is that the entire Ottoman state was a state. There was much jihad in it, but during the time of Muhammad al-Fatih, it has a mole, Hassan's face in it. Muhammad al-Fatih is a figure, a fan. He is so fascinated by books and collecting them that he is a city. From one of the Italian cities, it was imposed upon her. The jizya is written in a city belonging to it. I don't want money from you. I want the verse. The books you have. Wow. Oh, so you're writing. And among the languages he knows is the language Arabic. This was said. Yes, it was said, but there is no consensus on it. He is at least. The things he was definitely good at were his native languages are Turkish, Persian, and Greek. Serbian. Yeah, these are the languages that those who agreed. Some people are talking about it, and they keep talking about how, on top of that, he knows Arabic, and on top of that, he knows Latin, and above it, he knows the Hungarian, and above it, he knows. This Bulgarian statement implies hesitation among a number of people. Historians, I don't know, but I heard that all the sultans, the 36 Ottoman states were skilled Arabic or they know it. No, there are some who speak this way, but not some who are skilled in it. But I'm certain that some of them weren't good at it. He wasn't good at it. Yes. So now we are talking about a great personality, by agreement of the weak, no matter how much they oppose him. Okay, as for Muslims have the hadith, Constantinople will not open for us, so and so, yes, the prince, its emir, and what a fine army that army was. Of course, this is it. The hadith is true, but scholars have differed in its authenticity, and weakening it. But if this is true, adds to the conquest, it is great, but if it is not true, it does not detract from it in any way. His greatness to them, but specifically the conqueror. This hadith, as we said, scholars differed in their assessment of its authenticity and weakness. So of course, it means it was narrated in ancient times because it was narrated in a certain era. You may add state, or it means that it is of course narrated by a human being. Of course, he narrated it. Imam Ahmad in his Musnad, narrated by Al-Hakim in Al-Mustadrak, narrated by the Imam, narrated by Al-Bukhari in The Great History is not the correct one in history. Al-Kabir and Al-Mustadrak and Al-Hakim authenticated it and agreed with him. Al-Baharbi, but that means the scholars who weakened him. Of course, among the most famous scholars who improved it, and they corrected it, Ibn Umar, Ibn Abd al-Bar, Abu Umar ibn Abd al-Bar in al-Istiab, and also al-Sayyidi in the small collection of hadiths was corrected or improved, and some of the commentators on al-Jarmi al-Saghir and al-Busiri, for example, in the book Ithaf al-Qarar al-Mara mentions that its men are trustworthy. Okay, but among those who deemed it weak is al-Albarni in Say. The university is in the weak chain of transmission. And Sheikh Shuaib al-Arnaquart, in his commentary on Musnad Ahmad, authenticated it. The Musnad of Ahmad, and what is the reality of the matter? A technical issue related to one of the narrators. This means the hadith is narrated by Abdullah bin Bishr al-Ghanarwi, on the authority of his father Abdullah Bishr al-Ghanarwi and Bishr. This al-Ghanarwi is a companion of the Prophet. Or, okay, but this Abdullah ibn Bishr is unknown. Unknown means we don't know the extent of the level of confidence. Okay, fine. I feel like it's an unknown person who corrected it. Correct him. Why are we getting into another problem here? Because there is also one named Abdullah ibn Bishr Kartharmi, similar to him, but this is confidence from the followers class. The followers, but this is from the class of followers, so because those who double it say that the examiners, they confused trust with it unknown, but that won't make a difference to us. But I want to say, but if this hadith is authentic according to some, as some others believe, the scholars, meaning that his argument was cut off, said everything. My fiancé means, if the Prophet said, what a fine prince, its leader, and what a fine army that army was. So, what a verse! The matter is settled and over. So now you're talking. Regarding the character of Muhammad al-Fatih, he is one of the most important and greatest figures. Sultans of the world and sultans of history, without a doubt. The conquest of Constantinople was in itself a glorious achievement. And you can imagine that he conquered Constantinople, which is, he opened it when he was 21 years old, and it overshadowed all his other achievements. The other means that no one knows that Muhammad al-Fatih, another achievement besides the conquest of Constantinople, although other achievements, and there was something more difficult. Sometimes things were more difficult. Why? Because this, the conquest itself, is a historically significant turning point. He is 21 years old. Hey, 21 years old. Today's young man still relies on his family, with expenses, meaning, for example, yes, unfortunately, that's okay. What is the story of the conquest? We simply said that it was a Murad Roman who reached the Ottoman state at that moment, which was with Yazid, lightning, and nothing remained except the Ottomans, who were established. The oldest of them are in the east, in the Asian part, which is Eastern Byzantine Empire, Constantinople, and in the western part, and they fought their battles with the Serbs, Bulgarians, and Hungarians until they established their footing, for now Constantinople was the The verse refers to the kingdom located in the middle of the possessions, Ottoman Empire, or everyone is a step towards the conquest of Constantinople. Constantinople, this was no easy feat. Why? Even though you mean you surround. In Constantinople, east and west, yes, here it must be. She looks at the map and calls it. It goes back to history and recalls it. Let's call them. How is it that Constantinople is now? It's shaped like a triangle. It is surrounded on the below by the Sea of Marmara and on the north by the south. The east is the Golden Horn Bay and also at its head. This is where the Golden Horn meets the Bosphorus. The Bosphorus Strait with the Sea of Marmara. It remains a country, meaning a city by the sea. It is surrounded by the sea on two sides and by land on the other. One side is a peninsular. Yes, okay, this peninsular is so that you can. To besiege it, you for the Byzantine Empire. For example, no matter how much you surround them from the land side, the line is a maritime supply line in the Emirate of Trabzon. Ships sail along the Black Sea coast. It extends from the Black Sea to the Bosphorus Strait. Arrive the supplies to Constantinople, okay, something else in. At that time, the cities of Italy, the Italian ones like Genoa, like Venice, the most important Italian cities and their centers. Global trade is important because the Mediterranean Sea it was the treasury of world trade, i.e. trade between East and West travel across the Mediterranean Sea. Yes, that's why trade flourished at that time. They were the Mamluks, and they controlled the coasts of Egypt and the Levant. And what are the Venetians and Genoese? They have the cities, meaning the Mediterranean coast, from the north side. These people are because they are traders and they have a lot of money, and we said before that they financed it. Crusaders had money, so they became the many islands in the sea. They have shopping centers, meaning they are affiliated cities to them. Their cities are spread along the sea, Aegean, and also on the banks of the Bosphorus, and also in Black Sea. The Bosphorus and the Black Sea remain. That wasn't. This was an area exclusively for the Byzantines. It was an area where other centers of the Italian republics, Genoa and the Rifle specifically, therefore, the attempt to besiege Constantinople by sea is met with resistance. There are obstacles to maintaining a strong fleet and obstacles to you are not declaring war on Byzantium alone. You're bringing the Byzantine Emirates with you, located in the Black Sea, as well as republics that have trade relations and have influence in these areas in the Aegean Sea islands and the date palms. Since we're talking about the map, Professor Mehmed, in that, the moment, or you told us about the nose of Istanbul, that's what they call it. Istanbul, Borno, Istanbul, Istanbul, this is it. We're on a small hill, there's a lot of dirt on it, yes. Yes, it was also calmer, not with the Ottomans, yes, I'm telling you that, yes, these areas are commercial zones and have ports. Your interests now, when you become an empire, depends on the sea, meaning now America, for example. How does America control the world? Controls. The world has military bases. Most of them. American military on the beaches. Most of them. And on top of that, America has the origin. The US military is a naval force, specifically aircraft carriers. Aircraft are fleets. You have the 5th Fleet, the Red Sea and 6th Fleet, the Mediterranean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean, he has it, meaning, in front of him stands the American fleet in the South China Sea. Southern. Let's leave aside the civil engineering aspect. Something like the UAE is now accredited in the UAE. Its trade is based on maintaining control over the ports. For example, it has the Dubai Ports Authority, so that its business operations can proceed smoothly and remain. It controls all trade routes. So you always buy in the Suez Canal, you always buy on the Mediterranean, always buys on the coast. The Red Sea has bases in Somalia. Rules have agreements. I don't mean rules of agreements. In Somalia, in Djibouti, on the island of Sumatra, even when she entered Yemen, she remained interested in the south. Yemen, Aden, and so on. Aden, and thus the ports, and even their relationship with Pakistan. Even its relationship with India means it. You buy the ports located in the country that her thinking is maritime. This is the contemporary version of Genoa and Venice in her days. Yeah, okay. So you're talking about a maritime network of relationships, commercial, supported by fleets, or Oud. Constantinople itself is attributed to Napoleon. The saying goes that if the whole world were a country, one in Constantinople should be its capital for him, because it is protected by this natural immunity. It has 2 seas and it has the land part. This wilderness is his fortress. Emperors throughout history on more than one level. From the walls, you have pictures, then a trench, then second layer of images, then space, then layer. Thirdly, so that it is difficult for the attacker to break in. These walls are good. This is the Golden Horn Bay, and an excellent opportunity for increased protection. The Bosphorus and the Sea of Marmara. Venture in the Golden Horn Bay, a metal chain. This series is huge. The bay is closed to any hostile vessel. So, the Gulf region provided him with an opportunity that wasn't available before. For most people and most kingdoms, navy, it's so narrow, you can pull the chain. No. Ships can enter the bay. Wow. Yes, and the Bosphorus is open to the sea, as we said. Black. So what did Muhammad al-Fatih do? I want. He manages this battle. At the beginning of his management of this battle, he entered into peace agreements with the Italian republics to keep her completely out of this battle. Okay, so how does the Strait of Gibraltar close? He came at the narrowest point of the Strait of Gibraltar. Bayezid or Murad I built a castle on the edge. The Asian called it this Anatolian fortress, meaning siege. Anatolia will build a castle in this location. Boat coming from above, from the Black Sea, coming from the Emirate of Trabzon, or a city belonging to it. For the Italians, in order to save Constantinople, I am from. During this fortress and its cannons, I will bomb her. Yeah, at the narrowest point of the obstruction. Wow. We discovered that it was the range of the cannons. And also, the available capabilities do not. It can cover all of the Bosphorus Straits. Yeah. So the ships could approach the Sea, Western and crossing. Yeah. Muhammad al-Fatih went and established a settlement on the European side. Opposite this castle is Rumeli Hisar Castle, meaning the Roman siege left the narrowest point of the Bosphorus. It has 2 castles for the Muslims, and he built this second fortress, which is Rummel's siege lasted 4 months. And when you see, this castle is now 4 months old and barely believe in today's possibilities. What about the capabilities of about 500 years ago? We'll see Rumeli's siege today. 4 months siege, meaning terrible, and it's built on a hill. Yeah. So, whoever sees it, I mean anyone from viewers, enter and type Rumeli Hisar Castle, or he besieged the Roman fortress, watched it and tried. Imagine what it was like in 4 months. Me personally, I only truly felt the miracle when I saw it. Oh God, oh my eyes. Because you get tired and you keep looking until you reach a third of it. That is. Of course I visited it, I mean. Professor Muhammad, you are telling us now that the opening has begun. He prepared Constantinople, and the first thing he did was, he built the 2 castles. He built the 2 castles to close them off. The Bosphorus Strait is open to any ships coming from the Principality, Trabzon, or Emirates, Italy to support Constantinople. That's how the closure happens. Al-Bari, okay, I have a quick question. Did he take over the government? He's always been like this since his father's time. His first act was to conquer Constantinople. Yes, this was the first thing he did. The first military move he made was to open Constantinople. How long did it take to prepare for opening? It is 2 years between his taking power and the opening Constantinople. That means he spent 2 whole years preparing for the opening. It's less than 2 years old, that's all. Okay, but this is his first project, which is, he took over the rule here and began with it. So we said he entered into peace agreements, the second fortress operation, and then he started on the issue of interest with the defenders. So I dedicate this to this Hungarian engineer whose name is Korban, is one of the people, meaning we can say one of the people sought this expertise of foreigners, which means someone who was not valued, for example, in his country. And the Sultan's cannon was made for him. It was named after the Sultan, of course, because he made it, especially for Mehmed al-Fatih. This is the largest cannon in existence. It was the largest cannon of its time. What is required of him is that he is the extent. Ejaculation lasts a long time, and that's why he reached puberty for the first time. Mila projectile. The weight, some estimates said 300 kilos. It means the 300 kilo shell that will travel. Mil D. Oh my god, 300 kilos, and some said a ton, and some of them said its name is minerals and metals. One of the most important secrets, even in industries, contemporary means military and civilian secrets. It is how to make an alloy, or how was this alloy made? This material was made, a secret that will not be revealed, because you mean the alloy. For example, even in, for example, airplanes, I mean, the airplane's body is manufactured. From what? This is the secret to being able to withstand pressure. It can withstand the atmosphere, and one of the most important things in this, the secrets are in the pipe manufacturing process. From the first barrel of a pistol to the barrel of a cannon. This must be made from an alloy that is shape. A certain type of material can withstand pressure, heat, and continuous operation. Yes, if it's a little heavy, it means from the very first bullet, which is necessary, transgression from the barrel of the pistol up to the grenade or the grenade, which passes through the tank's barrel or the cannon. The cannon is the most important part of the pistol. This cannon or this barrel must be durable. The heat and pressure that you are penetrating at very high speed with friction and heat energy. The energy of a bullet or cannon is enormous. And how far will he endure? Pressure, heat, energy, and how many times? Mehmed al-Fatih wanted to build a cannon. The Sultan, who is able to destroy he breached the walls of Constantinople. Take care of this cannon. Special attention was given to another defender. That's true. Is this the cannon, the biggest and most important? The last thing we learned was that this cannon does. This only happens once every 2 hours. Perfect. Within the capabilities of that time, every 2 hours, he hits once. The first time he hits, we come to the verse. The liquids that cool it, and how do we wipe it, and how do we clean it in a way that preserves the cannon's alloy? This is something that neither collapses nor explodes. Yes, he remains militarily prepared, ready, geographical readiness and political preparedness, and of course the army and the mobilization of the army and the mobilization of the fleet, because the fleet must stand in the Sea of Marmara, or based on the fact that there is nothing from the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, these 2 castles that we built, they closed the Black Sea and the Bosphorus Strait. The fleet that will be present in the Sea of Marmara, those coming from the Mediterranean and Aegean seas are prohibited, prevent any supplies. He also built and developed a naval fleet. Of course, yes, of course, definitely, of course, well, counting the army is also one of the different issues. In it, yes, how much was, I don't know, I mean, on his face I read 4 nulls. Specifically, I don't know, and usually I mean in. Things like this mean I don't dwell on them too much. Numbers, okay, but the bottom line is that it means at least it was in 300 ships, that's fine. So if we're talking about the fleet means, so we're talking about 300 ships. Good, and here the opening process began, of course, with effort. His efforts were based on the assumption that the city would surrender to him peacefully. He injected blood, but in reality, Constantine the 11th, who was the last Byzantine emperor, he was undoubtedly an enemy, but he defended the city with all his might. It's possible he was incredibly steadfast, and he obviously meant, I am aware of these movements that Muhammad is making. The Conqueror, which is the peace treaty and the building of the fortress, he protested and tried to provoke him. This refers to the rear ranks of Muhammad al-Fatih. He had one of the grandsons of Yazid I, so he thought about. His release was intended to cause chaos and disruption for Muhammad. The Conqueror, in his pursuit of power, went to the Vatican, so that he could plead with the Vatican to support him with knights, money and armies, and the Pope in the Vatican, by God, saw it as an opportunity. It's good that we are uniting the two churches instead of them being divided in a misguided and heretical church, which is the Church. Orthodox Christians gather Christian unity and the Christian nation under Catholic authority of the Pope, but this statement did not please either the religious figures or some rulers, even in the Constantinople state, in Byzantium, because they see that the Catholics, these countries are also infidels, heretics, and apostates. Okay, and the famous word, when the old man was saying his name, Loma works or something like that, I forgot the name. Now he's saying that I prefer to see turbans. It means the Turks will come and take over the country, which is better than these heretics come and try. Constantine Roman 11, the ecumenical patriarch among Europeans, it caused internal divisions. Even the clergy continued not to attend Mass, nor they order people not to attend Mass or receive communion. Weekly whether he is Professor Muhammad, the one who caused the rift between Rome, Eastern and Western Rome. It lasted until Constantine Roman 11. Yes, and it's available, meaning, and to this day, and to all the people of Adi, the Pope helps him. Yes, and he went to the Pope to help him, of course, since ultimately we are all Christians, and this, a grave danger to us all. Okay, but the Orthodox are still being accused of heresy. Catholics, and also Catholics, are blasphemous. Orthodox, because they fundamentally differ in their understanding of the nature of God, and this, something fundamental in Christian doctrine. Does this mean Christ, machine, completely, and nature is dual, or a little bit of humans and a little bit of God? It's a long story, but the important thing is, yes, okay, Mr. Handy, I just need a small clarification from you. This is a very important task for us Muslims when we take action. It means we need to go from one place to another, maybe one. He tells us, as he listens to us, that we are sitting and preparing and building castles and we're going to conquer Constantinople, and we take it, and all this talk, and this man is sitting there. He'll try to call for help, and all this talk, we're going, yeah, on Constantinople. It's thuggery, meaning bullying, laughter. She's not causing us any problems and trying. She's destroying us as Muslims. So what's her problem? Why did Mehmed the Conqueror want to go to Constantinople? What's wrong with her? Why doesn't he just leave her like that and make peace with her, like the rest of these people? Who is this guy? This is a child of the modern age. What they call state sovereignty is an illusion. It is called national independence, and it is called respect for nations. The independent one, and the truth is this is an illusion, meaning this is acting. Contemporary politics perfectly represents it, but in reality, countries are always either rising or falling, a complete landing. So now you are. Look at America, for example. America isn't a stable country. She has a Pacific Ocean, and she has an Atlantic Ocean. Why does America have fleets at sea, the Red Sea and the Mediterranean, and then China? Why does America have bases in 200 countries, the least, and some people say the number of rules? American 800 bases. Well, you didn't even realize there were countries. It doesn't exist. It was found, and the whole world still exists. Sporting it means something like a country like Israel, a country that did not exist. These are people who came from abroad. I planted here, forcefully and constrainedly. I want to say that this is the nature of the world. The nature of the world throughout history, unvarnished, and without representation. Some countries either ascent or decline, expansion or contraction, shrinkage. Therefore, for example, the war that is taking place in Ukraine. So what made Russia go to Ukraine? Because the Westerners wanted to annex. What does it mean for Ukraine to join NATO? Ukraine to NATO means Western missiles, and the American missiles could be in bases. It is located near Moscow. So don't be deceived by the current moment, which is, it's all an illusion. I mean, have you ever seen truly fixed boundaries? For example, a country whose borders have been in place for 100 years. This fact remains unchanged. Not all countries are the same. Either it happened to her, meaning it expanded, or it happened. It has a shrinkage. Yes, actually, even if that didn't happen, it means, of course, that I'm saying, all countries have experienced this, but I want to say even countries that seem, for example, she had been stable for 40, 50, or 60 years before she experienced stretching and a shrinking of its interests and its true boundaries. It means in its true influence, meaning now come, look at what Egyptian influence was like 60 years ago. What remains now? Therefore, there is a theory in science. The political aspect is called the transparent map theory. He's telling you that if you want to understand the truth about this, the world and the true nature of power within it don't lie in the map. The current political landscape is a map, inaccurate in another transparent map. It must. What is this transparent map you are looking at? The map that tells you the military bases. Each country has its own location and distribution. This is the nature of things. The Prophet, peace be upon him, to believe the Prophet's words more than our belief in the nonsense of contemporary politicians, diplomats. The Prophet said after the Battle of the Trench, now we will invade them, and they will not invade us. He thus established the rule that states are either invaders or the conquered countries are either expanding or shrinking. That's just how things are. That's just how things are. There's nothing wrong with that. A vacuum in the world of politics is always filled by a rising power, and always in a state of diminishing and shrinking power. Yes, we were talking about the equipment. We completed the preparations in this manner. Mehmed al-Fatih fought in this way that he was, if supplies were cut off from the Byzantine state, military and food supplies that can come to it, whether from the north via the Bosphorus or from the south, across the Sea of Marmara, the Aegean Sea, and the Strait of Gibraltar, also known as the Gulf over. The Golden Age will allow it to besiege it from through the cannon he had, and through the cannon the Sultan specifically can make it happen. Breach in the walls. The strong and fortified Byzantines. The siege of Byzantium lasted about 2 months. It started on April 6th and ended on May 29th, so the months of April and May were the verse, meaning they were at the time of the siege. So was the Fatih experiment successful? The truth is it didn't work. This means that these plans were actually devised. Succeed. First failures. It is that, or rather, the most severe failures, meaning that the Sultan's cannon could not withstand Arhar with all these preparations and all this care in. At one point, the Sultan's cannon split. He defected because he couldn't withstand the pressure. The word dana or mad means projectile. He couldn't bear it, so after a few days he split and killed a number of people, his guards, including the Hungarian engineer, offering. It is also said in some accounts that he was injured there. The conqueror himself, he was injured in this. He was close to the cannon, meaning he was close to the cannon. Therefore, the cannon failed to achieve the desired results. Firstly, the fact that he works every 2 hours means he gave opportunities to those who repair and those who defend. This means they repair the breaches that could. She spoke about it while we were talking about a wall in some areas. From 3 layers, you're also talking about an important matter. Difficult, it's not easy. The second thing is that the Byzantines still, at this moment, they have something called fire. Greek fire is liquid. The group means whether it contains kerosene or some other things. Additions, when you throw it away, If you pour water on it, it increases in size. It is a blazing fire that will not be extinguished. Yeah, this is a chemical composition whose secret Muslims discovered. Then they learned to resist it, but only up to this point. At that moment, the fire was as intense as it could be. The Byzantines should push back and turn away all infiltration attempts, or because it is a fire you cannot extinguish. Some used it at sea, others on land, and so on. Here and here, yes, this and that, but right now we're at the sea. Fish is under attack at sea, we've closed it off. The sea is inaccessible to them, we are unable to reach them. We cross the Golden Horn Bay because of the presence. This huge series, yes, that's fine. We have a good series. We are standing guard, maintaining a siege. There are no clashes. A large sea, okay, try attempts to dig tunnel pits, but the forces were able to dig these tunnels. The Byzantines and those who joined them, of course, joined. A group of Italian fighters, one of whom, his name is very famous, Giustiniani, and this man he played a major role in the conquest of Constantinople and in defending it means an Italian fighter led. He also had the defense of Constantinople, methods of teaching it to the people of Constantinople and to the fighters. They use it to repel land attacks, and they also discover there were attempts to enter under the walls and dig the tunnels. Whenever they discovered a tunnel, they would dig it. Ottomans, wait until the Ottomans approached this and poured fire into it. Byzantine, or it means estimating the number of Muslims who were killed in tens of thousands, and there are also different estimates. It varies, but I want to say the city has a burning people, bombing people, killing people, throwing people from above walls. Okay, so then, and after that, 5 Italian ships came. She managed to break through the siege. The Ottoman Empire penetrated Constantinople and extended its reach. Constantinople with provisions. Yeah, how did she manage to get 5 ships? She managed to break through the blockade of 300 ships here in Bard. There is much talk among historians, the gist of which is that there were 5 large ships. While most ships, the Ottoman fleet had fewer ships in height, or the forces surrounding the 5 ships were unable to obstruct, means fighters from aboard ships. The high-ranking people were able to harm Ottoman ships, and the ships could not. The Ottoman Empire, it means to influence it. Why didn't you sink it? Why military errors? The winds were favorable. The important thing was that he was a leader. The Ottoman fleet, also known as Baltaji Pasha, he lost his eye in this battle. Yeah, and Mehmed al-Fatih almost executed him for his loss in this. How did 5 ships manage to get through the battle while they are essentially besieging this city because any supply will encourage further attempts. It also makes them more resilient, and the siege continues. Enter, is he good? The ships entered, not 2 fortresses, 2 buildings. I entered from under the 2 castles. Those are built on the Bosphorus disrupts the north, but countries are coming from. Italy is entering from the Sea of Marmara. Yes, from the south. Okay, so it's right at the Golden Horn. Along the Golden Horn, it was locked with a chain, but when the ships arrived, they opened it. It has the chain because the chain is T and the fleet. Where was the Ottoman guarding behind the chain? We said there was a victory and if there was a naval battle like this and they lost. Al-Othman, a naval battle and the Ottomans lost. Okay, the ships passed by and entered the Golden Horn Bay. Of course, the Byzantine king is not silent. He's trying from the very beginning to arouse problems, whether on the Asian side or provoked the Crusaders and the Westerners, if they take each other, the properties, or they threaten the rear of the conqueror's army, or so that they could bribe some Ottoman state officials to break the siege. All of this means the battle, multiple the levels, and indeed we reached them after a while with the death of people, and their killing means someone like Khalil Jandali Pasha. He was among those who supported lifting the siege and that we returned to more favorable conditions. Or was this opinion correct or incorrect? What are we getting into? There's a a disagreement among historians. This man had taken a bribe and was working against the conqueror, or this man was loyal and she was this. Indeed, the military reading is because, ultimately, military decisions are like any other decisions. The other is something people disagree on, and it means both. Those who are only after the best interests of the country might disagree. We should withdraw. We won't withdraw. That's one thing. Or, later, Khalil al-Jandar ruled over Pashur and executed him. Yet, some people say he was executed for his proven complicity. Some people say he was executed because he wanted to spread dissent in the army's support, because he sees that this sultan is sending the army to massacre. Useless. Yes, but the bottom line now is that the truth about the preparations made by the conqueror, despite everything he did, it did not lead to opening Constantinople. Okay, note that the conqueror divided his army into 4 sections. Scientific. The wild one means the wild one is walking. The wild one is he who distributed it. The department was in the side that is Jaltar Kulisi. This is the one that is the jinn. Among the Genovian, there was a group, I think, but this is outside the battle. This is outside the scope of the discussion if you're talking about it, because Jaltar is located between the Golden Horn Bay and the Bosphorus is fine, so this matter is out of context. The battle now. Okay, fine. So what did the conqueror do here? I mean, it came to the conqueror. This brilliant idea changed the balance. The battle, politically, militarily, and you could say morally and psychologically. It is the conqueror. Now we said the walls surrounding Constantinople were the strongest wilderness fences, and also the walls, the southern one, which is located on the Sea of Marmara. Since we have a chain that closes off the horn, she was the weakest. You know, you've put a huge security detail in the beginning, or therefore, you have security within the walls of the fortress, Golden Horn Bay. Yes, because no one will be able to break the chain. Yes, what did the conqueror do? Yes, he made a plan. It was like this: Golden Horn Bay closed. I want to get off and enter by ship. Golden Horn Bay. So what did he do? He worked like a railway track. Now he considers it a railway. The iron is fine, but this railway track works. On the shore, he brought wooden planks, a number of planks. The wooden boards and panels will be placed on the hill. He places it on the hill and coats it with grease and oil. And it descends to the Golden Horn Bay from the land, and ships sail upon it. This idea is truly impossible and diabolical. His genius, and whatever else you wish to praise in him, praise him. It seems impractical to imagine that the ships will be towed, which protects the defenders, so that you may drive it on land. Hey! This land is not our flat and level land. Come and see here in Turkey. This is Tel Hill. So, simply towing the ships to get them afloat and then catching them by ships so that it doesn't slide down and break. This is an epic work. This is something you feel is just in your imagination. Yes, this is an epic feat, killing under the ships in their towing. And it means beneath it, which is the killing of many creatures of God. God alone knows them. He will reward them. And then you see the morale too. The Sultan's cannon broke. We don't know. We penetrate from below. In a naval battle, we lost. And then comes Commander Mehmed al-Fatih, whose age is Dobak, 21 years old. He wants to read all of these. It's me. I want to lift the ships. Yes, oh, Hajar, defeating him is truly an impossible thing. Or does this mean it's an epic story, as I mentioned to you, and you? Actually, when you say that, I mean, I imagine if anyone, it means he came to Turkey and saw, because no matter what you see, documentaries, and no matter how many videos you watch, they can't be filmed. The nature of the land that the ships enter, when you see it here. Yes, this is in some areas here. The metro and 7 floors. Yes, so the hill you're climbing is 7. 7 large floors, correct? Now, let's see how you lift a ship and what's on it. Defender, your master is a verse of poetry. I actually created a simulation of this story. Odd. Oh, I went to the chain and came back a few meters because I got it from Turkish sources and it came out in my own hands. I went out with the ships, and by the way, they are 2/3 of Professor Muhammad. Or a hill descends, then a large hill descends. It's coming down to Qasim Pasha. Or, yes, effort means enormous, and you're talking about 70 ships. Yes, in novel 69, it means something unnatural, the idea. What happened here? How many days did they stay? No, this is Layla. In one night, night after night, he was on the other side, ordering his artillery. Will you not stop bombing so that those under siege do not turn around? Or no one pays attention to this process that is taking place. At night, what happened at night? Yes, that's you. You're at a cutting stage. Trees for the deforestation phase to pave the way. The road and the stage of wooden planks and their installation. And then the stage of coating it with oils and greases. And then her transgression. Oh God, yes, all of this has to happen before they realize that something is happening on the other hill. It means these people went to sleep and woke up to find the ships in Golden Horn. They found the ships on the hills, yes, in the century. The Golden Hills descend from it. Yet, here, they were caught off guard. They were caught off guard. Firstly, whether did the Muslims know how to breach the chain? They knew how to breach it, and they knew how to do it, not the Muslims. The ships, meaning they brought their ships ashore. And of course, what does it mean that they brought their ships ashore? Did it help them? The devils and the angels are not happy with them. So what does that mean? Meaning, yes, it was a huge crisis. Consider it. By our modern standards, this means non-weapons. The discovered weapon is a type of weapon. The enormous moral impact, including the military impact. These walls are weak, so their fall is weaker, and from them, if you are forced to withdraw defenders from the walls in west of the city in order to bring them to the east of the city to confront this situation. Yes, it's important. This is the pivotal moment in the conquest of Constantinople. Ship landing. Yes, this is it, and that's why, glory be to God, blessed be God, and He, the Exalted, often provides proof to His servants that He, and those who strive in our cause we will surely guide them to our ways. Ideas that lead to victory only come about, and you are in the same battle, meaning sometimes that your preparations, it collapses, and all your plans will vanish so that God may bear witness to His servants that He is the Maker, and that means the servant in management in the plan and its Lord in the decree, or the servant in the Lord's decree and providence. This means that all of Muhammad al-Fatih's steps were unsuccessful. The idea that succeeded was the one that opened on her in the same battle. Yes, she was born in the same battle. Yes, praise God. This is a lesson that if you actually sit down and plan the group of management and strategy, they say that the greatest plan never gets implemented. No more than 30% falls to the ground. Barak, the earth. Yes, the earth always brings new developments, new ideas, and by the way, the ship transport Professor Muhammad has become. History is as if it were before the conqueror twice, once in the time of Alexander and the second one, I forgot. I swear, this was said, but I honestly don't recall it. I mean, I know that some people, they mentioned it, but Alexander's conquest was on a large area. Its flatness wasn't on a large area like Al-Fatih. This mythical transfer, some people say that it is just superstition. European means to belittle what Muhammad did, the conqueror, to explain how Constantinople fell, but it's a fact. I mean, I can't give a precise answer to that, based on precedents, meaning in the matter of ships, but it is said. For example, the people of Constantinople also had. An ancient legend says that Constantinople will never fall, unless the ships rise above the hills. Is that a myth that was later fabricated? Is this, for example, a vision? God knows best, and it has been verified God knows best, because ultimately, such prophecies might come true. No, I'm talking about a war tactic, meaning it's a practice that's in use. Historically, ships were transported overland. As far as I know, this is unprecedented. Unprecedented, as far as I know. Okay, yes, and that means remember the historian, who is Edward Shepherd Cressy, author of the book History of the Turks. The Ottomans mentioned that Alexander did it on easy and simple, or then he also mentioned others that this might remain from. This refers to the Europeans' justifications for the fall. Constantinople, yes, this is what led to the conquest of Constantinople. Cotton ships unloaded. This morning, we woke up to find ships here besieged by all sides. Constantinople 2 or 3 days remained, and then Constantinople was conquered. After this new situation, this situation is good. This breakthrough happened because we knew how to penetrate the system. Walls outside the Golden Horn, the walls are weak. It wasn't due to a moral collapse, and we knew how to achieve it. Breakthroughs in the western part of the defending forces, despite their fragmentation, are able to. It works on both sides, and there is no collapse, moral and military within. All of this is a story intertwined like this. In historical sources, yes, because I read that when the ships landed the next day, there was a very thick fog, which was one of the signs of the fall. Constantinople and the image of the Red Virgin or image of the Virgin Mary crying. So the priests went to Constantine and told him, she is signs of defeat, surrender, and we're done. Yes, the conqueror, after the ships landed on the other hand, he sent him a final warning. By surrendering, they will leave. He and his entourage will leave with their money and whatever they wanted to any land they wanted, until, if they wished, they could spend the rest of their lives in a country, Ottoman or in lands belonging to the Byzantines. But Constantine the Great truly ended his life among his people. Of course, in a respectable way. We Muslims have a seal. His life is like that of an infidel, and he's going to hell. But I mean, me. I'm talking about the laws of the Did the achievements of the conqueror, Professor Muhammad, stop at the conquest of Constantinople was not his only major achievement. Beautiful is the conqueror, of course, because of this conquest. The Great One covered it up, but he completed it. Other huge achievements would have been accomplished if he had done them or not. We would also have remembered the conquest of Constantinople with reverence, the appreciation and glorification, but he came and opened Constantinople, and what happened, covering all of these things. It was from Muhammad al-Fatih that he hoped to unite the two prophecies, and that Rome will be conquered. Wow, that's what he's focused on, and that's why he spent the next 30 years on it. This paves the way for the conquest of Rome, and the campaign in which he died was a campaign heading towards Rome, the campaign that died before it. He graduated because he reached the point where, before he died, he opened part of Eastern Italy, and this is also my first time Muslims reach it. Yes, God bless it. Yes, now of course, and I mean when I say Muhammad al-Fatih is going to conquer Rome, so I'm talking if he was facing the world's superpowers in his time means the rifle, the Venetian naval empire, an empire of money, trade, and naval fleets. Muhammad al-Fatih waged wars against her for a long period, for 16 years, 16 years old. Yes, okay, yes, and she submitted. I stood before him, knelt down, and later signed a document with him. Peace agreements, or, if I'm speaking generally, what did the conqueror do? The conqueror did the following. First, the entire Asian part. The entire Asian part, it is located in Anatolia and in Asia Minor, the one they call Asia Minor. More importantly, he eliminated all the remaining members of the emperor's family. Byzantine cities and principalities. Principality of Trabzon. The Emirates located in the UAE islands, located on all the Black Sea coasts. It became subservient to the conqueror, and all these battles and more battles ensued. Big battles and huge fights. That doesn't mean these aren't things. Simple, I mean, the Crimean Khanate annexed to it the Crimean states that were in it. The Khanates of the Karns were descendants of the Mongols who, the Mongols of the Golden Horde, converted to Islam. When he added his uncle, what did the Mongols do? It became known as the Black Sea. It became an Ottoman lake, or, except for a few, but the Black Sea is an Ottoman lake, and the regions that are now Ukraine and all the northern Black Sea region belonged to the Sultanate. Ottoman. Hey, okay, yeah, and across the Black Sea, its shores and centers. The mission that involved Genoui and his rifles, and there were Byzantines there. All of this was followed by the Ottoman Empire is now a country. Let's go. For the European side, the European aspect here, we can say, is in two main routes to reach Italy. First, you head south towards the Balkans. From the Balkans, across the sea, meaning the Adriatic Sea, go to Italy. The second path is that you overstep the power that Rome guards, and this force, as we said, is the Serbs. First you have the Bulgarians, then the Serbs, and then Hungary, and after them Austria. And then what happens? Power has been unleashed before you. European, yes, of course, you're using the word Mughal and some people think it means the word Arabic half is just a normal word. The Hungarian story of Canterbury, which drove him crazy, or Mehmed al-Fatih, will tell you. Yes, here's a lesson we need to learn from our enemies' laughter. Yes, two men appeared to Mehmed al-Fatih. They are still among the most prominent figures in European history. They're great heroes. Who are these people? These two states were the ones who protected Rome to fall under the control of the conqueror, one Hungarian named Heniad and one Albanian named Iskandar. Oh, Alexander. Oh, those two I mean, if we're looking from the perspective of these Europeans, they deserve credit for protection. Rome resembles men, for example, in the other corner. It's similar to Charles Martel when he stopped Abd al-Rahman al-Ghafiqi and the Muslim armies before Paris. Yeah, they are the ones who obstructed, they didn't stop him. The conqueror's idea defeated them in the end, but only at the time when the conqueror used. This is the time the conqueror spent until he meant. He died before reaching Rome. Yes. Okay, the first man, Heniad, this hero, the great Hungarian, of course, this means prince. He was able to achieve many victories over Muslims in the Balkans and in the Serbian region. The days of Murad Roman II, then the days of Mehmed al-Fatih. He was the one who was able to stand firm against Mehmed al-Fatih. I mean now, if I were to speak generally about Mehmed's achievements, al-Fatih is what we say number one, Fatih, Constantinople. If we're going to the next one, Mehmed al-Fatih. All of Serbia was conquered except by locusts. He conquered all of the Balkans and expanded into eastern Italy. What I'm saying, and you're talking. Now no one feels it because now they are like Albania, Macedonia, and countries like Italy are not countries, militarily strong. But these people were the power at that time, the great world's people who own fleets and have money, and above all, the geography along which the battles are geographically extremely difficult, whether the geography of the Balkans itself or the islands. The sea is the Aegean Sea, that's what will open the map. I found it full of islands, the most famous of which is Rhodes. Crete is an island, but you have huge ports. Crete, Rhodes, and Cyprus were also countries that had something like that. Crusader remains, that means they were affiliated with France. They had Crusader remnants. Yes, Mehmed al-Fatih was able to defeat all these enemies. Hey, they may have tried to hinder him, but he defeated them all. Yes, but he failed at Belgrade and failed to capture Rhodes. Yeah, he couldn't open the door to the locusts and he himself was injured. Even in this battle, which is the Battle of Belgrade, he was forced to withdraw, and his rival Heniad died 20 years later. One day after the conqueror's withdrawal, that means 20 days made a difference because it was the city of Belgrade. This is the capital of Serbia. Of course, we conquered Sofia, which is the capital of Bulgaria. The city of Belgrade, which is the capital of Serbia, remained, and after that comes Budapest, which is the capital, Hungary, and then where will you find yourself? Yeah, by the locusts, before which Mehmed al-Fatih was defeated. It was later conquered by Suleiman the Magnificent in the year 927 Hijri. Yes, later, he conquered it and annihilated the Hungarian army in the famous Battle of Mahajis. He then managed to enter Budapest and stop when we have a mother, which is the last European fortress. Yeah, if you had opened up to us, it would have been over. Hungary, if Mehmed the Conqueror couldn't conquer it, he couldn't, but those who fought him were Hungarians, because Hayat is originally Hungarian. Yes, okay, but his killer is at Belgrade. Much of it belonged to Austria at that time. Yes, it is the introduction of the forgotten, the introduction of Austria. Austria was something big, I mean, not just, guys, no one imagined the current map, I mean, the touch was something much bigger than what we were. We're doing it. She is called the Emperor of Hungary and is called Austrian Empire. But right now, when I'm talking about Hungary, I'm talking on areas. For example, Belgrade is what the Serbs say, but Belgrade is the capital of Serbia. Sofia is the capital of Bulgaria. Budapest, the capital of Hungary, but the underlying power behind these areas is often Allied forces fight the conqueror together. She was the superpower of her time, and when we descend to the south we will find the republics. The coastal areas, namely Venice and Genoa, are supported, with the Crusader Knights supported by the rebel, the Albanian, who is Iskandar Bey, is. So, if you want to look at this scene, this Iskandar Bey was with the Ottomans and then defected. What is the story? He was with the Ottomans and then defected. Iskandar Bey was, oh, so this guy is Muslim or what? I'll tell you, Iskandar Bey was the son of the Albanian prince. He surrendered to Murad Roman II and submitted to his authority and sent his sons so that they might be in the company of the Sultan. The Ottomans learn and train in some way. The princes had, and some Western sources. He was forced to convert to Islam, but he grew up a Muslim because he saw. This is natural evolution, and these are things that have happened. Many Christian princes converted to Islam and gradually rose through the ranks. The Ottoman state fought and were among its conquering princes didn't cause any problems. I mean, he converted to Islam because he saw that this was natural evolution. No, does this mean he converted to Islam while secretly planning to turn against him? Ottomans. In a moment, the weakness we talked about in the episode, the previous one was for Murad Roman II when he was being exposed, defeats by this Crusader alliance. The one who broke the covenant with him with the blessing of the Pope was able. This Alexander must take under threat from whom? The Ottoman minister or one of the administrators. The Ottomans published a decree establishing their rule over the Albanians. Or so he took it and left and managed to rule and expel whom? He expelled the Ottoman statesmen, rebelled and declared independence. In this area, yes, when he rebelled and declared independence in this region, that was one person at the heart of the Ottoman leadership, which was informed of its secrets. The Ottomans found him to be extremely stubborn and determined. The second is Mehmed al-Fatih, who is famous in Western history, portrays him as a disciple of Murad Roman II. The one who inflicted suffering upon him means the one who taught him archery. Every day, when his strength grew, he threw me down, and how much I taught him the art of rhyme. So when he recited his rhyme, the man insulted me, then laughed and left. Alexander, take the essence of Ottoman experience, and of course with the difficult geography of the Balkans, and he managed to survive. During these years, it is true that he was subdued and defeated. The end, and Mehmed al-Fatih controlled the Balkans. But the obstacle that Mehmed al-Fatih faced, and the time he spent, if he wasn't there, Alexander, we expected that Mehmed al-Fatih would be able to conquer Rome. And of course, this is one of the criticisms leveled against the Ottoman state. Professor Muhammad, she wasn't eliminating this. The type of opponent meant he was constantly working. He made an agreement with him, then broke it, returned it, and fixed the situation. Then he attacks again. This has been repeated in more than one era, meaning, by God, Abu al-Harith, I cannot mean that. I will say something general about this, because there are too many details. There are details. It includes what you're saying, and there are details. No, that doesn't mean. On the contrary, he did not forgive the betrayal and he killed. For example, one of the most important things is the criticisms directed at the conqueror, which I see as one of the mistakes of the conqueror. The truth is what he did with two princes in the Balkans. The two princes were besieged by Mahmud Pasha, who was the Grand Vizier, and when he besieged them, meaning after the war ended with Mahmud Pasha surrendering on the condition of safe passage, he was safe from them when he returned to Muhammad al-Fatih, very angry and infuriated from Mahmud Pasha that he granted them safety, or he condemned his opinion and rebuked him severely. Ask for a ruling on the criticism of safety. Yet, one of the sheikhs named Ali al-Bastami gave him a fatwa by allowing the violation of this guarantee, and it means that Ali al-Bastami himself killed them, or it began. Killing them means, well, an incident like this one. Of course, what I'm saying is confirmed by sources. Of course, Western sources are vilifying this Ottoman era narrative. The incident was a huge scandal, and it says that the Sultan, he himself gave them assurances of safety, and he himself swore an oath to them, the covenants. But this is incorrect because the sources, Ottoman, including written sources from that time, the conqueror or shortly after, remember that it means what? No one mentions that it was the Sultan who gave it to them. Safety is important, but it is also forbidden to break a trust, because Muslims, even the lowest among them, are bound by their word. They point to others, and in the end, to Mahmud Pasha. This is one of the Ottoman officials, meaning something. What does this resemble? For example, when Qutuz killed the messengers, Mughals, of course, messengers do not kill. Okay. So this is one of Qatar's mistakes, no doubt about it. Meaning, but I want to tell you why I said this. The incident now, because I'm saying that it wasn't. The matter is straightforward. Either the two princes have a history of breaking promises with the conqueror did things that when you meet someone who isn't a vicious, murderous person, but there's a specific one who couldn't forgive him. So it remains. I understand that there are medical details that we don't know about. These details are our contemporary crisis in Ottoman sources and ancient sources, and the translations and the cultural impact they created. Mustafa Kemal changed the language to modern Turkish. Many sources are still Ottoman. Early results are still not in our hands. We don't know many details, or we cannot rely on sources for this. The West alone, because it is actually the sources, the West alone, most of them, at least up to the beginning of the century. For them, Muhammad al-Fatih is a devil, or this devil almost conquered Constantinople, and he will conquer Rome, so naturally they would accept it from him, or accept it on his behalf. These offensive novels, yes, okay, so the stories that, for example, he liked rape children, I mean stories that completely contradict image of Muhammad al-Fatih as it appears in the sources. Islamic means, okay, Iskandar Bey, he's driving us crazy, but he's really too long. How much laughs does that mean 16 years old or 16 years old with Haniad? It means Kamish Bass, and the resilience remains. See who Haniad means and who Iskandar Bey means. Imam Muhammad al-Fatih, excuse me, but who is he? Honestly, nothing at all. But look at the two of them. Countries that knew how to hinder Muhammad al-Fatih and were able to. They want to change world history. Look how weak it is. He was able to change world history. That's it. What the people of Gaza are doing today. Wow, this is what the oppressed do. Persevere. The oppressed, this changes history. You don't know it. Do you know what would have happened if there had been no resistance in Palestine? When was Greater Israel going to be established? So you know Herzl said, we held the first Zionist Congress in 1897. After 50 years at most, the state will, and after another 50 years at most, it will be. Greater Israel. Oh God. Okay, I'm not paying attention to the second part of this sentence now. Did Herzl say it himself? Or did someone else say it? Which is the phrase Greater Israel, right? The state of Israel was established after 50 years, but we had 50, 60, and 70 years/periods, and Israel did not establish itself/the state. The great, how do the resistance fighters work when no one else does? He will remember them, but he will not know them, nor will he. It's probably Ben-Gurion who told it, but the meaning I want to convey is that the resilience of the weak changes history. Honestly, Mr. Mohammed, I never imagined that I will live to see American and European women wearing in green roll. I couldn't have imagined it. Okay, we were talking about the achievements of the conqueror. Yeah, not only did he conquer Constantinople, but he also started to move forward. It means it opens up very, very, very wide spaces. I stop at something far more important than the conquest of Constantinople and the signing of the treaty. The conqueror means, and he spent armies and money on it, by the way, and something that weakened Constantinople according to what it means. I read what he was capable of. Yes, I heard that 300,000 soldiers were martyred. 100,000. Even the self-proclaimed Turkish historian Ashik says that the conquests of the conqueror were not complete until the conquest of Ayat Shaturir. Yes, to that extent. Oh, what is her story? What is her worth? What does it mean? The idea is that you won't be able to imagine what the conqueror did it unless you have knowledge of geography, the land on which the conquest was taking place. This region itself was the state. Byzantium suffered greatly during this time. The same region during the Soviet era. In every way, its modern capabilities were not the Union. The Soviets controlled it, meaning as he controlled these other spacious areas. The places are inherently rugged, and then there are those who they were fighting there. Firstly, of course, and there were sons among them. The region, and among them, as we said, is Iskandar Bey, he is the man who learned from the Ottomans, and among them, the support they received from the Italian republics, the papacy, and the Knights of St. John, whose remains were in Rhodes, in Cyprus, and in Crete. Then, it was this Ottoman army after all. Humans are prone to mistakes and errors occur. He suffered calamities, meaning he was the conqueror who defeated more than time, or this is how much this place was, yes. And its fortified castle means them. They put in a lot of effort to open it, meaning he tried once, twice, but it didn't work. Then when he came back with a large campaign, of course, which was later called the campaign, the Hamiyuniya, which is the Arabs at its head, Sultanate, until it fell, meaning, yes. And of course, among his achievements at that time were, it only fell after 2 campaigns. Yes, I'm telling you, if you've seen the conquests, the conqueror, without conquering Constantinople, will have his city filled, admiration and reverence, but the conquest of Constantinople overshadowed it. Despite all this, and knowing that if the conqueror hadn't been there, had he been around at the time, I would have found Hunaadi and Alexander. They have swept away the gains of the Ottomans and set us back, once again, to the side of our destiny and the side of Galileo. Yeah, it means if they didn't, it means Hasbara, mostly. Hasbara met Ali Ray O Fatima, if you had witnessed the Valley of Kubt when the lion met your brother is a good omen if you find a lion. Or rather, a mighty lion. Ard Glabber Larker Hasbara. Muhammad al-Fatih means that he was able to subdue the country and these 2 individuals with this support, and in that and those circumstances, that in itself, a very great achievement. Yes, it was also among the things that opened. The capital of Albania is Kaloyer. Yes, opening the capital of Montenegro. What is this spherical look? Ziyadik is not Zubaidak. That's what she called, and she was a woman. Cities, oh, many names. What was more difficult for Muslims than the capital city, which is spherical? Yes, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Yes, Kawir. Yes. Well, we now know that al-Fatih has great achievements. Therefore, you are talking about some narratives that told he participated in more than 170 battles and in some of them reached more than 200. I remember the Turkish historian Ahmed Akandaz He had a saying that this man, he fought in 140 battles. Look, one guy had 140 battles to count. He conquered 2 empires, meaning the Byzantine Empire. The rifle submitted to him and opened 200 city. Hey, 200 cities, and I want to say all this is an achievement. The military achievement is paralleled by another civilizational achievement in the matter of schools, hospitals, and bringing in scientists, and bestowing blessings upon them and establishing, meaning the administration of the state, Ottomanism and its institutions, and he enacted its laws, which means of course he has a group laws known as Fatiname laws, or from the collection of laws issued by the conqueror, even the city of Constantinople, meaning it was restored. I found her quickly and she became someone else after she had been. The jewel of Byzantine civilization became a jewel. Islamic civilization is a nation. What the conqueror did. Yes. Bathrooms, streets, mosques, bringing in scholars. And during his reign, Istanbul became twice its size. Twice the size it was before, that's correct. Of course, historians say that the conquests of the conqueror, the European ranks were so divided that even the Pope, he knew how to handle her laughs. I messed up his calculations, meaning there is something, okay, so if, oh, I want to go to the suspicious places, you laughs. I'm in a bit of a hurry, I need to go to the suspicions, excuse me. It means that the conqueror of Constantinople accomplished very significant achievements. What else is there to say? It's important, by the way, they're talking about after the conquest of Constantinople. The talk about the conquest of Rome in the Ottoman palace. It did not stop. Yes, they were always in the palace corridors talking. They are discussing this topic. So the preparations began. You're talking about 30 years of struggle for Muhammad, the conqueror. Yes, that's right. Correct? Okay, Professor Muhammad, we conquered Constantinople. Let's come. Now let's turn to the suspicions. Youths, get yourselves ready. Why are you talking about Muhammad al-Fatih? Church to mosque. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, pray for the Prophet. Oh Allah, send blessings upon our Prophet Muhammad. This doubt is also a modern doubt. This daughter of this, the era we are in is complete. Ud, what does it mean to be a girl of the era we live in? This suspicion arose because we live in our time. Our culture and systems are secular. What does it mean when you see, for example, what that meant was that you wouldn't find a country that converted. The mosque was converted into a synagogue, for example. Okay, so all religions have a right worship, but we have it with you. The Geneva Conventions and the Prisoners of War Conventions, respect and protection of religious sites and temples. Religious matters are good, so the question that will be asked, one of them is with us in this era. Why are you? They convert mosques or churches into mosques. Yeah, we're not into ordinary things, so we do things like this. Yes, okay. The difference I want our brother to pay attention to is, for example, when America occupied Iraq, what does it mean that Iraq was occupied when they entered Baghdad? Where did they go? What's happening that you're calling a dream? America occupied Iraq. They didn't just enter the palace, presidential, whether they entered or not. They entered and took control of it. Parliament took control of parliament. They made a constitution. They made a constitution. They made a system of government. They seized control of army and police positions. These are the churches of the secular age. These are temples of the secular era, meaning now, the secular era has a temple called Parliament. Its name is the Presidential Palace. Its name is the ruling party building. I mean, now, any revolution, any occupation, or any coup, what does he want to control? Why doesn't he go and control it? Mosques or churches, he goes and takes control of the government headquarters. These government headquarters, folks, are the headquarters. The ruling now time, the symbols of the old regime were once mosques and churches of the mother. Countries in the past were religious states, empires were religious. Christopher Dawson and even Toynbee and others say that great civilizations were built on major religions. The Great Mosque of Cordoba, the Great Mosque of Granada, the Hajar Sophia, Al-Azhar, for example in Egypt, is a symbol of the regime. Old. This is the code for the old system, meaning any change in the system, whether in the past or present, it targets control of the old system. Okay, so no one is objecting now. Control of the presidential palace means no one is allowed to leave. He asks him, how did you manage to take control of a palace, my brother? Saddam, the one who used to sleep in it, or the one who was. He rules that you cannot build any palace anywhere. Does anyone say that? My people in Nepal, for example, for a while, they staged a revolution in their country and then they went and burned things. The presidential palace, and they burned the parliament building. The presidential palace was burned, the parliament building was burned. A sign of the collapse of the old system and a sign. New regime takeover. Okay, but those people from back then were Muslim and Christian religious empires. Indeed, their takeover is a takeover of symbols, religious, as a sign of contemporary occupation. Secularism is a sign of its appropriation of symbols, governance, politics, and the prospect of resolution. Statement number 1. Dissolving the Ba'ath Party, for example, or the Muslim Brotherhood's declaration. Muslims are a terrorist group, seizing its headquarters and sources of funds. This is it. Okay, so what is the Islamic ruling? His rule in the conquest was based on 2 lands that were conquered. Salma means its people surrendered, paid the jizya tribute, or welcome this, but do not approach the property of its owners, but the lands or cities that were conquered by force. It means blood was shed in it. It means we sacrificed in it. Tens of thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands of people, and we did everything that happened. That's normal. It is the land that was conquered by force that became king. For the conqueror, just as any country is conquered by a conqueror, occupying conquerors make the properties the property of the regime, the new occupier of the new capital, or, therefore, the conversion of what is the conversion of the Hajar Sophia church. Yes, Sophia specifically. This land was conquered by force, therefore, her property passed to the Muslims, i.e., specifically, in the classroom. I'm saying that it's land that was conquered by force, therefore, it is permissible for Muslims to. They convert. Churches were converted into mosques because it was conquered land. An Umar became the property of the conqueror, but this Hajar Sophia church in particular, code, or a religious symbol, it is the symbol of the Byzantine Empire. Likewise, the Eastern Roman Church. Okay, so I'm asking, yes, that's what I want to say. That means the rule is consistent, just like the ancients used to say. They do it again, the modern one. Yes, but because there was a shift in belonging, the religious ideology has been replaced by secularism, and we remain. They condemned the fact that someone was controlling the parliament building, on the presidential palace and on the party headquarters. The governor, no one condemns him. I want to say that these churches, or these mosques, or these monasteries were, in relation to this era, they are symbols of the old regime. It was not considered unusual in that era for this to happen. In that era, it was not considered unusual for this to happen. It means you won't find anyone living in the same era. He's surprised and asks you how he could do that. But it's not him. He might remain sad and bitter. Defeat, but not surprising. Or like when you're sad because it's a palace. The presidency, for example, during Saddam's rule in Iraq, for example, violated. But I remain sad, though not surprised, because that's why. Natural. Victory can only be achieved through this, by controlling the centers of power. But we are Muslims, Professor Muhammad. We are not concerned with him taking over a church and converting it. Mosque. In this way, we leave the churches to their owners. No, just like that. But this way, in this way, it was opened by force or peacefully. If you open a ladder, Islam dictates respecting all. These properties have been opened to the public. They are not harmed in any way, but it was opened by force, not opened. by force. You have always fought the war. You will reap the benefits if you win, and you will suffer the consequences, its losses and expenses if it is defeated. It means that whoever wins will own what was. The defeated party then has the right to transfer the funds, converting churches to mosques or other places. I mean, like this, he who was defeated would have been defeated had he won and taken control on Islamic lands. What else would he have done? Same thing. Okay. In other words, from a permissible standpoint, it is allowed. But did we really convert all the churches of Constantinople into mosques? No, it didn't happen. The churches still exist. Therefore, so he left them their churches. That means he left them many churches, but he left them in the manner of what I'm describing. I mean, if he took it all over, that wouldn't have happened. This is surprising, both in Islamic jurisprudence and in law. That era, because this became the property of the defeated, who is the killer, which is killing, which means we sacrificed for. That's in tens and hundreds of thousands, but ultimately you're the one who's in it. What does it mean that you don't take the spoils of war? What is the meaning of your victory and the meaning of your sacrifices if you won't be able to possess the things that belong to the defeated? Where is the meaning of victory? Or he's even far from the norm, and I've experienced this myself. Also, Professor Muhammad, that, specifically, Byzantium has a special law that states that, if he takes control of it, he becomes the emperor, meaning even in their law they therefore possess all public places. I mean it. Therefore, it was Mehmed the Conqueror who later stopped Hagia Sophia. It was said that he bought it and stopped it, but I don't. I mean, this is information I'm not sure about. But of course, if he stopped it and bought it, and this was correct, the information is now complete, meaning there are no further details. The matter is completely innocent, but I want to say no, even if it wasn't true, then it wouldn't be surprising, folks. At that time, the regime's symbols were seized, the old government buildings and their conversion into real estate. The conquerors, or Christians, did this, and non-Christians did the same. So, you have the Great Mosque of Cordoba and you have, this means the lands that were seized, not the ones that were seized. Many of them are Muslims, and many of them are Muslims. Its mosques now means the mosques that he built. The Ottomans in the Balkans or in Central Asia, many countries converted them into churches and transformed them to the point that pigs are present even in Armenia. So far, some mosques exist in Armenia, now a pigsty, or the same applies to the Balkans, specifically Macedonia, and others, including Greece. So what I'm telling you is, this wasn't what was surprising at that time is similar to what is happening in our time. Now seizing government headquarters and symbols, the old system is a necessity for victory. Changing the system is this. Yes, but generally speaking, Professor Muhammad, we don't have anything to do with it. If we are delusional and obsessed by converting all churches into mosques. Church medicine, what kept her? How did it even survive in our world? You still have it. Historical churches, correct? Nestorianism, and the hanging church located in Egypt, meaning many churches in the Levant, in Iraq, and in Egypt. Yes, by the way, that's an old piece of cultural information. Hagia Sophia is associated with 5 churches in Istanbul. They are scattered across hills, including Little Hagia Sophia, a mosque in a church in Fatih, and so on. Now they are all mosques, meaning, yes, okay, so if that's the answer, by the way, why the change? Oh, Sophia. To the mosque of Tayyib. Did he conquer Constantinople 3 times? Days. This is also a story I have only seen in a historian's work. Byzantine, a grudge against the conqueror. Many historians have transmitted it from him, or his name was Dukers, and many people passed it down from him, from historians, while you find in Byzantine sources. Other sources, including Western ones, deny this. The statement is that he permitted it for 3 days, but you will find Tareekhna for the people of Constantinople from day 1. But one of the bigots, I mean someone like Bernard Leos, was a bigot against the Ottoman state. A book called Istanbul and the Civilization of the Caliphate, Islamic, he says in it that the Ottomans those who conquered Constantinople were not barbarians, savages as portrayed in Western novels. They were children of a refined civilization to which they contributed with even more elevation. Yes, so, in reality, it is established that when Muhammad al-Fatih entered Hajar Sofir, in the basement below were the priests, and there were people and such, and their safety and security. Of course, if that were the case, you would have heard about massacres. Many, but none happened. But honestly, it's unfortunate here. I mean, let me stay quiet. The problem here is that some historians, the Turks, whose culture was largely formed from Western narratives, do not prove permissibility, but rather, I saw some of them say, he permitted it for 3 days. As stipulated in Islamic lore, God is great. That's not true laughter. God is great. There is no concept of permissibility in Islamic lore. These 3 days, no, there isn't any. Yes, and to the point that, by God, when I read the phrase and was surprised, I said, maybe I don't understand. So I went and asked some people, our sheikhs, the scholars, I mean, folks, is there any? Sharia law is one of the cases of permissibility of this means permitting it for 3 days after the conquest. I am not there. It's not about the talk. It means it's a problem when you sit down and someone comes wanting. He justifies his need by telling you that it is permissible as it is. Decision in Sharia. Okay. So the story of permissibility is about any pen. A villain tried to tarnish the reputation of al-Fatih. It doesn't mean it's permissible, therefore there's no need to curse it. It's on social media. Muhammad al-Fatih killed his infant brother. This is also one of the facts that unstable. Okay, this is an unsubstantiated fact that he was the first to. He took power in order to get rid of, or to avoid, there will be a threat against him in the future ruling to kill him, his brother, the infant, or, of course, this is also a fact. I mean, he mentioned it. Naturally, John van Hammer, who is the famous historian, the Austrian, who is the author of the large volumes in the history of the Ottoman Empire, which is the primary reference for Ottoman history in Europe, and others transmitted it from him. Exactly, but the truth is, this novel is definitely disturbing. There are those who deny it. That is, there are historians who say, there was no one named Ahmed the infant. There was a brother named Ahmed, older than the Conqueror, but he died during his father's reign. For example, some of those who narrated it mentioned that he was a knight. A follower of Muhammad al-Fatih is the one who infiltrated the bathroom. The boy drowned in a swimming pool. Well, this raises a problem because if he was going the opening order, or rather, he wasn't going to drown him, based on the fact that he died, meaning if he is now, he is going to carry out an order from the conqueror. He'll strangle him in the end. I mean he'll strangle him, not, he'll drown him and then he's a baby and then the conqueror. Indeed, when he took over, he had an uncle from the sons of Zay. We didn't say that. A grandson of Yazid was with Constantine, and then they mention that it means that they mention Muhammad. This deserves execution as retribution. One might say, no, this is love, a cover-up for the crime. So a cover-up? Why the crime? If he killed him, then he's the one who, now Sultan. Why is he hiding from himself? He's coming with us, God willing, regarding the issue of fratricide. If you, now the Sultan, has issued a decree to kill his brother, why would he disavow this crime? What is later in the story of the Sultans who were killed? Their brothers killed them in front of everyone, meaning they murdered them. It's normal, considering he's enforcing the law against fratricide. His burial was ordinary, he didn't completely disown him, so now the conqueror, to send a knight and this knight will drown him. It seems like the incident was normal, and then he leaves. The conqueror executes him. This twist doesn't make sense, or it's completely unsuitable for the time, especially since it's also, this means it is not mentioned in sources close to this. The covenant. It means casting a shadow of doubt on her. But this incident gained. It means strength, popularity. Yes, the idea of a law against fratricide is gaining popularity. So it became acceptable that you, So, yes, since he means the one who said that Muhammad al-Fatih, he established and enacted the law of fratricide, and it remained the first application. My job is that it means killing his brother, okay, or his children, Muhammad al-Fatih and Ahmed. He had a son named Aladdin. We said he died. Before that, the name Ahmed is mentioned. Ahmed, who is this baby? No, what is this baby doing with whom? He was a baby and was killed, and other people say no, this is Ahmed was a prince and died before Aladdin. So, this infant, even the story of his existence, there's a problem with it. Even the narrative of his existence has a problem. Yes, oh, I mean, very short. This means that this is a story that Muhammad al-Fatih killed his infant brother is a story not found in any source. We trust him. Okay, Muhammad al-Fatih instituted the killing of brothers. This is similar. It means so that he can rule alone. Oh, look, this is a very strong resemblance. Its resemblance is widespread and its resemblance is popular. One of the most significant suspicions throughout the history of the state. Ottoman, you have time, right? Yes, no, we're with you. Trust in God, we're here. We are sitting together and, okay, because we want to benefit Professor Muhammad, we want to unravel it. It means we'll keep fighting on social media. We tell a story laughter. They take us to these things. It is indeed a strong suspicion, a very strong suspicion. We need to answer it. Okay, it's okay if we talk about why. No, and if it happens, we deny it. We're comfortable now, I mean, we. What are we now, meaning Muhammad al-Fatih? No, give us money, or are we afraid of him? Laughter, on something, meaning okay, look, pray to the Prophet. O Allah, send blessings upon our Prophet Muhammad. We mean, of course, because this suspicion is true. There's a lot to say about it. Or, let me start with what's the topic anyway. The point is that it means the enemies of the conqueror, or those. What do they say when they raise this doubt? They say that Muhammad al-Fatih issued a law. This law states that if one of my children reaches to the throne, nations, so it is more appropriate for him, or permissible for him, or obligatory for him. He killed his brothers in order to maintain order, the world, or peace in the world, or peace. The kingdom is complete. Yeah, okay, and most scholars have permitted this. The phrase is what is the law against fratricide? Okay, they say that Muhammad al-Fatih issued a law to kill brothers. This is its text, and consequently this is what resulted from it. Every Ottoman sultan who ascended to power reached the ruling means that he killed his brothers in order to be alone. By ruling, what's the similarity? Od, meaning, this and this story comes from the story of the chaos that it happened after a few seconds. We went and, with some pure Od, first, I want to accept this. Okay, so let's start responding to I don't want the, I meant to reply, I want to say yes, I want to say we will assume, O Abu al-Harith, this statement is true as the enemies of the conqueror say it's over, or okay, sir, this is one of the bad things about the conqueror. Yes, by God, this conqueror is not a king, he is not infallible, and we have the companions who are the best of people. They committed murder, they made mistakes, they fell into from the companions, meaning you, we here, meaning we place this sin on the scale of Muhammad's sins, the conqueror, and we weigh it against his good deeds. This sin either erases or diminishes the good deeds of the conqueror, the virtues of al-Fatih or the distortion of Sir al-Fatih al-Haq. The truth is, without a doubt, that even the least rational person would agree. It means one conquered Constantinople, he conquered Greece, the Mora, and the Balkans, and almost to open Italy and stop the threats coming from the neighborhood and Serbia, and almost opened Belgrade. One means the work of this tremendous renaissance provided Muslims with everything. This is one of his sins. Okay, sir, fine. His sins mean that ultimately, folks, it's for the best if we accepted all of this mistake. Sir al-Fatih remains the image of a great leader, and it remains This means that his sin remains upon himself and his son, while the benefit he left behind remains a benefit to the general public. Muslims saved many people from disbelief and entered Islam. Islam spread throughout Eastern Europe. The Islamic State has become a global superpower. All these are good qualities that are not outweighed by this mistake. Al-Fath, yes, Ud. Okay, number 2, we're handing it over. On this topic, Tayyib Muhammad al-Fatih, when he issued this law, just so we understand the magnitude of the crime, I mean that he committed the first and last act. So how many brothers are there? Those who kill at the hands of the Ottoman sultans. How many brothers are there? 35. 35 people in 10 sultans, only 10 sultans executed. This law, I only have 10, by the way, before and after the conqueror, before the conquest and after the conqueror. Oh, so you mean Al-Fatih wasn't the first one? No, you're not the first one. I'm saying it now. All the brothers who were killed in the history of the state, Ottoman 35, the 35 countries are finished. These brothers were killed in conflicts over power, or they were killed for sedition, by law, legally speaking. That means everyone who killed 35. One at the hands of 10 sultans. So, the suspicion itself creates an atmosphere of exaggeration. That's what every Ottoman sultan did. This is incorrect. Those who made this statement, there were 10 sultans, and the sultans of the states. They killed 35 people, that's it. Now, when you come, this is the Ottoman state, and this is Muhammad, the Conqueror, will be added to their scale of sins. Uncle Sheikh 35, one in return for their good deeds. Excuse me, I mean come out. I mean come, let's call the Adhan. A contemporary ruler, we mean any imperial ruler. Bring me his mother. Its stopping at one point caused the death of 35 people and was one of the founders of the state and one of its great leaders. Or the subject is related to the ruling, and the palace. He wasn't killing the people, so let's sort this out. After a while, well, those 35, we said they were under the rule of 10 sultans, and the topic, it ended with Murad Roman IV. A law was passed stating that the succession to the Ottoman throne would be the eldest son of Ali, Othman. Therefore, when this law was put in place, there wasn't anything like that before, meaning there wasn't anything like that. The law regulating inheritance was the strongest. It arrives, or even if the strongest one was younger, then the law of guidance was established, and the issue of the verse was halted. The issue of murder. So now I want to say the magnitude of the crime. Ultimately, it has 35 characters at its maximum range. Its range, Al-Aqsa. When we even come to talk about the 35 personalities, we will find another detail. We will find that it is half. The incidents of fratricide occurred during the struggle for power. It means no one went and grabbed his siblings and killed them to seize sole power. No, that was a rebellion and wars. It means something like that happened after a while, increasing the shock. Wars between the 5 brothers. In the end, one thing will happen, and it will happen after that. For example, among the sons of Muhammad al-Fatih himself, what will happen next with Selim? Brothers, now that I have assumed the sultanate without, the brother has committed no crime or posed any threat. I went and killed him. That's a crime beyond dispute. He indicated that this murdered brother was defeated in war and in conflicts. Okay, this means you must also differentiate because these are the ones. They raise the suspicion, then he puts the 35 on you, he's on it. The idea isn't that he says 35, he just gives you the picture. The general public is exaggerating to the point that every sultan was. He kills all his siblings, and I'm telling you that's different. That's right, they killed 35 people in 6 centuries. 6 centuries. 35 in a period of 6 centuries, that means a number insignificant in the context of an empire that once lasted 6 centuries. And in the 35 countries, half of the accidents are his brothers. Rebellions was a struggle for the throne, not people. What did she kill? Innocent people. Or, okay, so what do we try to do? Now everything I'm saying is from a Muslim perspective, exactly as stated, meaning we haven't entered yet. Is this lore real or not? Is this text real or not? No, I want to say no matter what happens, the existence of this law in this form has consequences. This does not reflect negatively on the Ottoman state, nor it is considered a flaw that hinders its achievement because it is. The other one is talking about 35 people who were killed in the name of the survival of the state. You know now, I'll tell you, if we were to ride in a time machine, we would travel. From this time of ours, we are going to a time, Mehmed al-Fatih, and we went around to the sheikhs for free. We left Mehmed al-Fatih and went among his sheikhs. For the legislators present in the empires, the other, or the legal scholars refer to priests and rabbis, and the lawyers, sir. Consider that we will go for contemporary legal experts, and we will tell him regarding this equation. We'll tell him, look, Sheikh, we're coming to you from the future. There's a sultan with a law in his head. He justifies the killing of brothers. This law was created for the sake of stability, the state, so that there are no divisions within the state. We're coming from the future, and we're telling you the result. The basis of this law is the stability of 6 centuries, and 35 people will be lost in it. What is your ruling? I'm sure that it's all except for Muslim scholars. This equation, if presented to an expert, contemporary legal texts, or those presented to any legislator in another empire will say, trust in God, and the blood of those 35 countries is on my hands, and he's walking, yes, and in order for the state to stabilize and become a power, great, so that it doesn't split and so that it doesn't crumble, and because of the 5, meaning the 35 countries, in terms of estimate, the lawmaker and the one who will issue a ruling on it, they spared the blood of hundreds of thousands or millions. They maintained the continuity of the state, then noted the smart thing you mentioned. Now it's that he was the conqueror when he issued this law. Who is he killing? Was he killing the people, or was he killing his children? Who was he killing? His sons. He's not saying if the throne has passed to my sons, so they have the right to kill their brothers. Who are his brothers? Those who are the sons. The conqueror himself. Yes, therefore, many people see this as one of the virtues. The Ottomans, by the way, the Ottomans sacrificed their sons for the sake of what? Maintaining public interest and preservation of the state, and maintaining the nation. Okay, Professor Mohammed, let's stick to the text that was killed in the name of the law. Forget about those who were killed in rebellions and such. It makes sense. Concept. Yeah, the text here, meaning someone like Murad Roman III, nor Mohammed Roman III. I'm talking about half of the accidents. Oh, the half that was killed in the name of the law, if that was. The law exists under the name of the law. In the name of the law. Okay, so how does it work? I mean, what? This logic assumes I am sultan, and I have a law that, if I have more than one child, in part, he wants to be killed. Yes, okay, why the backwardness? Why have children if there's a law? He'll go, and there will be an innocent person involved. Yes, but you know, for example, if I said half the incidents involved deaths in a power struggle, and half of the incidents are killings without cause, those who are innocent. This half is 28, one of those sultan in the name of the law, and after that, Murad Roman 4 kill 5. Yes, so 19 and 5 remain 23. Yeah, and we'll pick them up like this. What did Sultan kill? 2 sultans killed 1. So, Mr. Mohammed, after these 2 words, if I spent a million years with someone who wants to confess, he's talking about the Ottomans, and he doesn't want to hear hear their history, yes, I won't be able to convince him. He'll remain silent because he's the one who. What does Professor Muhammad, who raised this doubt, want to say? I don't understand. I mean, I'm really asking you. I mean, now, the one who. Fatih is suspicious. What does he want to tell us? He accuses them. So how will he be convinced if I take it from? I said to him, do you see the graves? And he replied, yes. May God have mercy on them. I want to read the science of al-Fatih. I tell him, my love, their father killed them all. No, uncle, look, I want to tell you something. You mean you imagine that because I love the Ottoman state, and I am not defending the state, the Ottoman Empire, and I don't want to convince you of the state, Ottomanism or anything else. I want to convince you of everything. One in the Ottoman state. No, sir, you throw away all the people you killed without cause in the trash and tell them to go to the dustbin of history. The Ottomans were already pessimistic about him, the Sultan, and they called him the killer, which means, so, you mean the Umayyad state now, the Abbasid Caliphate, the Andalusian Caliphate, which state in the world, all rulers are good? No, sir. We look at the people who killed those people. History will consider them to be wretched people. And who are the lowly ones? Palm trees of the Ottoman Empire. But the entire Ottoman state was destroyed because of the other two sultans are free. They committed these crimes. This is where we stop. No, if we want to read our history and we weigh it with the scales of the wise, so we should stop. No, sir, consider the Ottoman state to be part of it. The problems are concentrated at the verse concerning the two sultans, the countries that are Muhammad Roman III and Murad Roman IV. Yeah, okay, everything I've said so far. Yeah, I mean, I'm being condescending and assuming that everything they said, those who have doubts are right. I just want to limit them. The problem is because no one can do this and take it. By sound, it is imagined that there is a defect in the conqueror, or the existence of a flaw in the Ottoman sultans is equivalent to that. The image of al-Fatih collapses, or rather, the image of al-Fatih collapses. The Ottoman Empire. Not every state has problems. Every ruler has faults and sins. But let's get into the details, because there are important words. Okay, the details are as follows. Okay, let me go back and explain these details. Let's begin. We Muslims, the most important advantages, the advantages of the law, meaning our Sharia, are the most important advantages. Our morals dictate that we have what is permissible halal, and we cannot. It is forbidden, and what is forbidden cannot be permissible. Do you know that the Sultan had the power to legislate, or at any point, it would be a law, meaning you. What law exists in our modern world? This is in these modern democracies, which are. It means she's impressed by many of our children, and she sees it. The same is the pinnacle of global development. Any law, as long as it's legalized, is the law correct or not? It's not wrong. It's not wrong. I mean the most famous thing, veto. Isn't this world order built on the fact that 5 countries have veto power? When the Security Council comes, only one country leaves. She objected to the right of the woman, saying, all the will is gone. Globalism falls before the will of a single nation. These 5 are the ones who make up the Security Council. Legally and constitutionally speaking, it is legal. Is it constitutional or not? Law. Okay, so when, for example, there were demonstrations, America went against what is happening in Gaza. It redefined Semitism in law, so that you can go inside. There are demonstrations, and the conditions for these demonstrations to be prohibited and criminal is what was done legal and constitutional or not. Good. Trump, when he cancelled entry visas and when he lifted it. The visa is for those coming for friends, skills and experience, as long as they are an advantage. Islam is about what is permissible and forbidden, right and wrong. Right and wrong are not the exclusive domain of anyone, including Sultan Arif. If this law had been issued in one team said this law is invalid and does not exist. This opinion was held by a historian and legal scholar. The head of the Turkish Court of Accounts is named Arliham Baraki. This man is commemorating the 500th anniversary of the conquest. Constantinople, meaning the year 1953, 1,000 books call Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror and his just life, the head of the Court of Cassation and historian. What did this man say? He said, guys, the text of the law that you say it is not found in any Ottoman document. The text you've brought is its oldest source. A source located in his office in Vienna, Austria. This is not a source of reassurance for the heart, nor the law cannot accept it. I am incapacitated. The original document and this document are between them. The time of the conqueror was 120, 130, or 150 years because the copies obtained are from the text. Therefore, based on scientific integrity, legally speaking, I cannot attribute to Muhammad al-Fatih legally, and I have an official text that can be cut off from his view. There might have been some translation problems. There might have been some copying problems. A legal amendment that was put in place after Muhammad the Conqueror. Just because I found it in the middle doesn't mean that he accepted it, so this team denies that it is even possible. The Conqueror issued this law, which is contrary to Islamic law. Islamic are a second team, including even Western historians. They said that this law is in its language. Don't go back to the time of the Conqueror. This language it's confusing, and there are some issues with it, and it lacks accuracy, because its translations are different. Therefore, this law is probably one legal amendments that took place later. Muhammad al-Fatih, but that means a collection of laws. This law is one of the amendments that it has been entered, but the language of the conqueror, the personality of the conqueror, does not suit him. This law, therefore, they doubt him. Third direction. Yes. What is he saying? He's saying no. This law is found in a legal collection. This legal set is very similar. According to the laws of the Ottoman Sultanate, there is no evidence that something was inserted or forged means. I can't accept the rest of the laws, and I see. These are natural laws and laws that regulate life. The Ottomans and I reject this law because I'm the one who doesn't like it. No, as long as we have no proof that it happened, forgery or falsification, and this law is among the laws common and well known in the Ottoman Empire. It's most likely a valid document, and then what? Group, this text of the law is not actually against the law, according to Sharia. As you can imagine, this is the text of the law. This could fall under a legitimate principle, which is offering. The public interest takes precedence over private interests, and that is the killing of brothers. The killing of brothers, if they caused it. Threatening the public interest is a threat to public peace. So these countries prove that the law exists, but they enter when translating. What is the exact text of the law? Is the law only about sibling relationships or not? And the children too? No, brothers. What does that mean? The Sultan will kill, the brothers are his sons, not. It is the text of the law if it is possible for one of my grandchildren access to the throne. Yes, so the son kills his brothers. Yeah, okay, maybe the law will work if the brothers try. Seizing power leads to the killing of his brothers. It's not like that. It's over. I mean, I'm coming to you. What's left for this part? Yeah, but what am I doing now? One thing at a time. I am in a hurry. My problem is, no, that's fine. You're the one. By the way, I mean, all your words are absolutely true, but I'm just being suspicious. It is widespread, so I would like to organize it. Yeah, so I just said that we have three trends in dealing with the law are fundamentally a trend. He denies it, saying neither the conqueror's character nor his morals. This is allowed, and we have no proof, and people are saying this. It might be one of the post-conqueror modifications. Fights broke out among those who supported the existence of the law, disagreements over the correct translation, and of course, when disagreements arise regarding the translation, correct? The second two groups are happy and joyful, and they're holding on to them. There's a law we're working on. We disagree on its translation in the law. Its meaning is unclear, because the translation is a translation of the existing text. There are possibly 4 traps, or of course, these are matters that cannot be decided. He's not fluent in Ottoman Turkish, but actually, the original texts are missing. Or, okay, so we have translated texts. Okay, now, if someone had discovered manuscripts, I wouldn't know. I discovered it, or rather, I don't know it, but I want. What can I say? I haven't reached the level of my knowledge. Following, or the oldest available text of the law dates back 120 years from the conqueror. What happened during those 120 years of the conquest? Who put the text? Who played with it? Is it an amendment? After the conqueror, we don't know. Medicine, professor of law, yes, the one who appointed al-Fatih. What is a set of laws? Is it in our hands? Yes, what is it? We know him, meaning us. What is this set of laws? Is this the attributed one? The oldest texts of the conqueror are those from 120 years ago, but because the rest of the laws don't have any problems with it, the army's organization, the organization of salaries, and the organization of the administration, it's normal, we accept it and it's natural, but this law is the one who caused us a crisis. Or, so, who are these people and this group who are involved in this law? It's true. Arlie Hammer-Barkey and those with her said no. Another person, other people, might tell you that it's possible this specific law is subject to amendment. After the conqueror, those who prove this law for the conqueror have entered into the interpretation of the translation. The law is unclear. It doesn't say whether he is allowed or not. The phrase has 2 possible meanings, or if one of my sons reaches the throne, it will make a big difference between you saying it is permissible for him to kill his brothers and what are you saying? He should kill his brothers. This is a case of choosing permissibility, and this is a case of obligation. Okay, so that the world order is not threatened, I mean, public interest or public security. Okay, what does this word mean? It's legal interpretation. This means that this brother issued a statement that was neither threatening nor evasive. That this brother might issue a threat, avoiding it is contrary to Islam. The translation remains the translation that says that if one of my sons ascends the throne, he must kill the rest of his brothers to avoid that threat. The world system is translated from 4 translations. Possible, the doubt they raise remains, in reality. Translate from which of the 4 translations, for therefore those who accept the law and see it's a normal law and a religious law, that's what they say. They say, guys, firstly, the law doesn't include the meaning of obligation, or secondly, the law states that in the event of a threat, it threatens the world order. Okay, so there were sultans who came after Muhammad. The conquerors misinterpreted or abused the law. Using this law does not equate to Muhammad. The conqueror bears their guilt because there is no law by us or by whoever came about the misuse, or one misinterprets it or misuses his workers. No one goes back and tells the person who wrote the law, the one who is wrong is their daughter who misinterpreted the situation. He misused the law by expanding it to include. The spirit of the law is respected. The law has been misused. Or, okay, so the people who accept, of course, Ahmed is at the top of the list. Because Ahmed spent his life judging the laws. Ottoman, meaning he enforces the laws. The Ottomans, for example, hold this view that this law is it falls under a legitimate principle and it speaks of what happens if damage occurs. Under the general system, even a brother could be killed. Thus, it is similar to saying that whoever was destroyed before you, if a noble person among them stole, they left him alone, but if a weak person among them stole, they would punish him. By God, even if Fatima, the daughter The opening chapter states that even a brother is not immune from punishment. The legitimate thing is that even a brother is killed for the sake of public interest. Okay, those who accept the law interpret it this way. Interpretation. Okay, yes, so is this okay? Did everyone who implemented the law, the conqueror after him, they were fair? No, they weren't. Not all of them were fair. They bear the burden of their own actions. They bear the burden of their sins. But the law, in its original form, is as follows. The conqueror's position is not expressive of his bloodthirstiness, nor expressing ferocity, not sadism. Rather, it is a sacrifice of children for the sake of a system. State, yet, because when the question came, most scholars permitted it. This word, which is in the text of the law, is mostly. The scholars permitted this group who objected to the law, and those who deny it tell you where. Which scholars permitted this? The group that they agree with the law. They say yes, the scientists, they approved this picture, which is a picture of the brother. The same one who came to you and commanded you all once to divide you. He ordered you to strike him with a sword, whoever he may be. So they say, is this the verse? This is the picture. The prize is a picture of someone killing his sisters. They showed no malice, merely as a precaution. This is a picture. The scholars did not permit it. Okay, fine. Okay, Mr. Mohammed, can someone tell us, my brother, what do we need all these interpretations for? The graves are there. No, it's not me, it's not us. It means they killed them, not what I said, what we said. What we said, they abused and misused the law. Yes, their sin does not fall under the law. Killing children also means, yes, Muhammad the third, the 19th one. They killed them, including children. Hey, yes, and Murad, when he killed his brother, killed his sisters too. 5 brothers. Yes, so now there are 2 sultans. 2 sultans, and 3 means 1/3, but I won't go into it. The details, or we agree that they were wasteful, abusive, and criminal in using the law, but that's a different matter than the question of the law itself. Its existence or non-existence means, what is the concept of law? That's a completely different matter. Yes, well, actually, I found in a recently published research paper, there is a Turkish historian at Istanbul University named Jamal Kvedar. When this man reached the age of 70, the university, he has a commemorative book in Istanbul. This book is still available in English. It's available on Google Books. I read it on Google. His year was 23, of course, he's a well-known historian. Even this historian received the Order of the Republic Award. Arif, the honorary book. When they do it, they do it. Research in the field in which he specializes means a tribute book to Mahmud Shaker will be published with the language removed. The literature is a tribute to Qasim Abu Qasim, with the omission of history and the history of the Mamluks, and so on. This man is a historian whose brothers and students worked for him. A tribute book written on the occasion of his 70th birthday. Among other things, the research published the message, written by Grand Vizier of Mehmed the Conqueror, who was the last Grand Vizier during the time of Mehmed the Conqueror. His name was Mohammed al-Karmarli. It is called Neshingi, Perfect Mohammed al-Qayamli, a treatise in Arabic on the history of sultans, Ottoman. Okay, fine. This is the text that the Turkish group published. His name is Hüseyin Yıldız and his wife's name is Harmer Harger. So I forgot. I found that he had published it himself. Jitchin, historian specializing in the state, Ottoman Dr. Major Makuf, but it seems he hasn't cooked yet. I mean, because I found this research by Dr. Majder. I found it in a specialized group, or the thing itself isn't published or printed, or I don't know any details about him, of course, or under the title New Texts in Ottoman History. Major Makuf achieved the same result. I personally compared the 2 versions, the Majd version, Makuf and his Turkish researchers, or what's important about our topic. Our topic is as follows. I found it's this man, Muhammad al-Karmarli, who, he was the last Grand Vizier. He was a man who put in a lot of the laws and he held a high position with the conqueror. These include laws regulating the army and other laws in the organization of finances, including the law of succession to the throne. So who wrote what? Law of succession to the throne. When you read history, you will find that he justified Muhammad. Karamanli justified Sultan Bayezid's killing of his brother, Narkab. This is the first incident of its kind in Ottoman history. We know the reasons for it, or completely he justified it, meaning he wrote, saying, and Jacob was killed. His needs have been met, and every sensible person knows that if much evil would result from that, so the Sultan was spared, his provisions were delivered, and the kingdom was handed over to the just Sultan. The generous one spent it expanding his kingdom unchallenged, disputant, not a litigant. That's roughly 80% of the text, so a written and rhyming message about a scholar. It means books on the history of the Ottoman sultans. Rhyming, or okay, in Arabic, whoa. Yes, as I told you, the two texts were published by Turks and I published them. Dr. Major Makuf. This text leads me to believe that this is Mehmed al-Karamanli. He is the one who wrote the law of succession to the throne. He wrote it in this format. Okay, why did he write it in this format? This formula here means we'll leave it at that for a bit. Jurisprudence. Jurisprudence means law, and we go to history. Let's delve into Muhammad's culture or mindset, the conqueror and his historical culture, and in our friends' mind. This is what the Karamanli Nashanji is all about, their brains and their historical culture, and we try to see what prompted them to write this lore. Okay, so we will find the former Islamic kingdoms. So now, Muhammad al-Fatih's historical culture, we will find the Mongol kingdom there, the Sultanate of the Seljuks of Rum, and we will find the state there, Basir. All these countries were divided by conflict between brothers. Even the Turkmen Emirates, which is close, the reign includes the Emirate of Karaman, Karsi, and Waishar. That means all these people, as soon as the father dies, a dispute arises between the two brothers. One goes here and the other. He goes here and the matter ends with what? A powerful figure will come and unite the entire emirate or kingdom. It itself divides. Eforardo. I'm saying that's their number one priority. Number two, come and see the Ottoman Empire. The same Ottoman dynasty, the same state. The Ottoman Empire itself, we said Osman after him. Arkan had no problems with Allah. Religion was his brother, things were smooth and pleasant, and Allah. The religion took over the establishment of the institutions after Urhan. Murad I came, or there were no problems with the brothers, but the son. Murad first rebelled against him, and the one named Suji killed him. She's not part of our brotherhood, so what's the point? The first thing Murad did after he died was to kill his brother Yaqub. What I'm telling you is the first incident in history. The Ottoman is unknown. The reason is unknown, meaning we don't know anything about Jacob. He provoked the Sultan, but we said, when Murad died, we were on the battlefield, and he was increasing on the right flank, and Jacob on the left. What do I mean if I take a certain path? What can I say to those justifying this? I'll say the army will split, or the kingdom will split. You will find someone like Karamanli justifying Yazid, what Jacob did. This means this is a point of historical and cultural significance. They have it. What he did is increasing, as you saw, and he tells you what he spent his time expanding the kingdom. And Yazid was the one who reached the extreme stage the most, and to a stage of expansion on the Asian side and in the European side means a huge success. Or, if it weren't for Timur, you'd be something from afar. We can't interfere in it and we don't have any authority on it. So when Yazid died, what happened? He collapsed. The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman state continues to kill its own brother. Yes, she rose tremendously and now has a lot of luxury. Okay, so why didn't he resolve it? The matter is getting worse. 11 years during the interim period and 8 years under the time of Muhammad, and then 30 years with Murad Roman II on what? We've reached a point where one person is living with this threat. If he wanted to, what will he do to spare his grandchildren such a thing? He would be very apprehensive about the issue of brotherhood, especially since these brothers are the sons of Bezid. Later, Murad joined their ranks, the emperor, Byzantine. The Byzantine emperor meant the enemies. How many times did these brothers use the sons of Bayezid and the days of Murad I and at the beginning of his reign? When Muhammad al-Fatih brought out Mustafa, who was from the descendants of Yazid, and Murad Roman II, who is his father, who is the father, Muhammad al-Fatih Murad Roman II suffered from two things, from Mustafa, his maternal uncle, who is the son of Bayezid, and he suffered because his brother Mustafa had joined. The Byzantine emperor was not joining Byzantine Emperor Murad as he besieged Constantinople, which is the siege I told you about. Seriously. No, it's not serious, and we disagreed about the emperor. The Byzantine sent money to Mustafa, Murad's brother, those who were under the care of the Al-Karman princes, the emirate that was hostile to the Ottomans. So the emirs, the Karamanids, took the money and prepared their armies. This is Mustafa. He came, entered, seized a land and besieged its people. Murad Roman II was forced to lift the siege on Constantinople, and it goes back to Bursa. Yes, this is the historical culture that existed at Muhammad al-Fatih and at I. Does this historical culture lead to something like this? This law leads me, personally, to believe that the law should have been written in this way, or I'm just guessing, but what I think is the most likely scenario. What I'm saying, yes, and praise be to God, Professor Muhammad al-Hakam, my brother, you feel, for example, what Muawiyah did from the fact that he inherited daughter to increase because he wants to return to something he saw by his very nature. He means temptation. The country got into trouble, and you told us about it, of course. At that time, that was what Muawiyah was thinking. It ended with Muawiyah the Younger, and what was expected was not achieved. He wants it, but you feel that they also wanted here when we came. They maintain the rule over the king until the state will stabilize so that there are no major disturbances. For geography, we don't need one of those. Inside the palace, he's either causing chaos, plotting, or corresponding, or he betrays. You know, I'm telling you something, it's a matter of survival. The Ottomans lasted 6 centuries, I mean, by the way, up until now, and up to this moment, I find researchers, contemporary Turks, meaning I talk to them, and they talk to me, and we see that the law against fratricide in its current form, it's extremely bad, but it's a good thing. The Ottoman Empire began to weaken from the very beginning. Murad al-Rabi abolished the law against fratricide. Of course, I cannot agree to this. The point is, ultimately we are governed by Sharia law. We are governed by religion, but I want to tell you what someone thinks in a certain way. Pragmatic and politically inclined, very accepting of such things. The law, and some Turkish researchers and historians, they said that it doesn't even mean the law of inheritance. The throne belongs to the one who created it. Murad Roman IV. Among the laws that led to weakness, why did the Ottoman state lead to this, Professor? Is the state weak? He told you that because the sultans remained, they are living and the sultanate is reaching them, and he is a big man in. The tooth loses its vitality, and then what happens? It takes a short time. Then he dies, and a disturbance occurs. While the first ones, what were they doing? The sultan lived for 30 years and he is over 30 years old, therefore he has vitality. And young people prefer things to be stable, and he tells you so. look what happened after Murad won. If you look at the list of Ottoman sultans, the rule is passed down from father to son, the son of his son, during the reign of Murad Roman IV, who abolished it. The verse began to branch out like that. It means the rule will pass to the cousins and so on. So when it started, the idea of killing implies whether it is a duty or an avoidance. Why, my brother, prison, my brother, ode, my brother, denial. That's what happened after that when we cancelled. This murder led us to prison. Now we have the prince. Oh, when the killing was abolished, we went to prison. Oh, it became a prison. It became a prison. Or stone, meaning, or stone. They call them princes' cages or golden cages. Well, Sultan Ahmed, who was the first, died. One of them, meaning he imprisoned his brother but didn't kill him. Sultan Ahmed, the one who owns the mosque, his brother was imprisoned, but he didn't kill him. So why did he place him under guardianship? He was in the palace, but they didn't kill him, and he died at the age of 28. His brother was born into the world like a fool, like an idiot. That is why the foolish sultan is called Mustafa the Madman, one who has never ruled nor known life. So I took it out, and that's why it didn't take more than 3 months before they were gone. The Janissaries deposed him and brought in Osman ibn Sultan Ahmed Tayyip. Osman clashed with the Janissaries, ruled for 3 years, and then they killed him. They went and brought Mustafa, the one who was dismissed before her, and they isolated him again because it was impossible to turn the chaos. Yes, so look. Man is inherently limited. There's nothing. You will never make a law that has advantages. It has no flaws, but I'll say it again. The original text is still missing. We can access the accurate translation that we judge this law as the conqueror established it. In my opinion, it is a real and existing law. It is also likely that the conqueror did not write it on the means of coercion or the means of prevention. That is not. He sensed it through conjecture, but it still remains. The issue requires. It means to extract or discover old documents, and children and others were killed under or in the name of this. What I'm saying is that these 3 sultans are those who misused. Yes, but the rest was power struggles. Oh, of course, we're not going to do that. And by the way, these power struggles, it exists in all countries and in all nations, including our modern countries, including the people who love. You're insulting the Ottomans, so what do you want me to say? Sometimes I like to be sharp or straightforward. Things have become so absurd, folks. Let's just leave it at that. Make for yourselves in the balance of Islam what was for the Ottomans, and kill your sisters, meaning you meant to say we. What harm does it do to the people? If the prince had killed his sister princes and done, this is great glory for the Islamic nation. Yes, and I'm trying to balance the situation like this. I mean, what is this? What kind of killing is this? The brothers, and so on inside the palace in front of a crime. The crime of Al-Mamun al-Sadi, who surrendered his city. Larak was for the Spanish, and they stayed there for 80 years. He even handed it over on a silver platter, ordering the killing of its people. Yes, he was in charge of it and even under his watchful eye, meaning he killed women, children, etc. And before him, Al-Mamun of the Almohad dynasty also abdicated, but he even built a church for the Christians. In contrast to the conflict that was between him and his brothers, he built a church for the Christians in Morocco, and they had no property / it had a church at that time. What I mean is, if that's what Al-Mamun did, al-Sardi, this means that's it. I'm upset. I don't want to study the history of the Sardians because Al-Mamun al-Sardi. This means that the work was the disaster, and consequently, the Ottomans, because they had a law like that. So if you please, these people do not represent me. They're not Muslims. I want to study their history. Open the topic. With me, these people were under Ottoman occupation. Ottoman rule is not what I want. What is it that I am doing, Abu al-Harith? Starting with, by classifying the size of the crime. Yes, okay, In short, folks, they considered it a crime. They considered it one of the conqueror's mistakes. They considered it one of the mistakes of the Ottoman state and placed it. All these mistakes are next to the advantages and benefits refer to the advantage gained by the entire nation was part of the Ottoman Empire. Or just look, Ode, I want to tell you something now. Now, put any ruler you hate in your head, and I'll mention names so as not to embarrass the platforms. Political, put in your mind any ruler you hate and imagine this governor went and conquered Washington and killed his brothers. Prince Man, in our time we have rulers who kill their own brothers. In front of the people they killed their brothers. They killed their own people and humiliated their nations. Leave it to God, sir. And then, Mr. Mohammed, why are you embarrassing me by saying it means to put someone you hate in your head? It doesn't mean, Ode, don't worry, I know a lot of them laughs. Oh God, bless our master Muhammad, the teacher Muhammad. I'll put the summary there. Yeah, I will excuse you from it, God willing. May God bless you. The next question is it similar to that? God bless you. But we will leave that for the next episode, God willing, with the help of God Almighty. This episode has ended. Professor Muhammad, thank you. May God reward you for what you have provided us. As for you, my brothers, wherever you may be, don't forget to share this episode and the rest. The episodes of this series are for your brothers and friends, for your loved ones, for those dear to you, for those who are interested, for those who want to understand where we were and where we are now. Here's a historical overview, who we are today and how we will move forward. Yes, because through our history platform, we try to interpret history from the farthest point in the past to the farthest point in the present. May God reward you in the future, and may you remain in His care. Goodbye. To watch more programs about history, Islamic history, and to learn about its events and victories, His defeats led Him, and His scholars are His events and secrets, governance, politics, wars,